Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to opening night of the 2016 OPL. I am Jake Spawn Tiberi, and joining me on the desk today is Minky Whale and Atlas. Gentlemen, looking very 80s today.
Yeah, we're having a bodacious, big-time good time, Spawn. Ready to get into some righteous OPL.
Cowabunga, dude.
All right, before we dive into today's game, let's take a look at some of the changes to this year's OPL. Of course, all matches coming into this year's OPL will be best of 3 and will be played across 3 days. Monday and Tuesday we'll host one best of 3, and Wednesday will be the host of our first ever double headers. Of course, that means that every team will play only one best of 3 per week and across 10 weeks of competitive play. And at the end of that, we will crown our Oceanic champions. And speaking of champions, that's not all we have in store for you. OPL Legend is a new idea commencing this week for the OPL that has initially been awarded to our reigning premiers, the Chiefs Esports Club, for finishing first in last year's OPL. However, every time the title holders step onto Summoner's Rift, it will be with the added incentive to protect their title against their upcoming opponents. OPL Legends will not have an impact on the regular season standings, but stay tuned for those matches. And with all that in mind, let's take a look at this week's upcoming matches. Tonight, Infernum will be taking on the Direwolves. Tomorrow night, Legacy will hit the Rift to take on a revamped Sing Gaming, and newcomers Tridents will take on the Chiefs in our first OPL Legends match to kick off Thursday. Hellion Esports will take on Avant to round out the first week of the OPL. For that and any more information, the schedule, head over to oce.lolesports.com to hook yourself up with that. So without further ado, let's get into today's matches. On the blue side of the Rift, we're going to have Infernum, and they will be taking on their opponents. On the other side of the Rift, the Direwolves. Gentlemen, let's get, your initial thoughts on what this matchup will hold.
So I guess the mid lane is what I'd look for initially. I think both the leaders of the teams reside in the mid lane, and commanding that would be the most crucial. Mid base is a very consistent player, but he's not very flashy, for example. Perfection on the other side is a god, basically. He's known for his big plays, and yeah, I really expect good things from Direwolves this season, probably in the top 4.
Yeah, well, look, we've come to expect that the Direwolves are going to be in that top 4 position anyway. That is just generally where they've shaken out. Infernum, on the other hand, I mean, they were formerly absolute. This is a team that was sitting around the bottom of the standings towards the end of last year, and their lineup was incredibly inconsistent. At the moment, you can see on your screen, Jack Attack and Midbeast, the only members of the team that are remaining there. Seb is now going to be joining them in the jungle. Stealthix is going to be the AD carry, of course, formerly a sub for Sin, and Whiffle is going to join him in the bottom lane there on support. So, of course, changing things up. But what was the problem for Absolute in the last time we saw them was the fact that they basically had a different roster every time we saw them on the Rift.
Yeah, they certainly did, but this time we think that one of their roster movements, especially Seb in that mid lane, Minky, might be able to propel them into a better position.
Yeah, so Seb and Midbeast have actually been playing together since Challenger Series, so it's good to see the duo reunite. I really think they can make some real big plays.
Yeah, I certainly hope that is the case. And, the other area that we have to hit on for both teams is the fact that they've opened up brand new AD carry and support duos. Atlas, I know that you want to keep an eye on Raze.
Yeah, Raze is... look, one of these players that has a lot to offer. Of course, we've seen him big players Ocean. He's had some big plays over there. This guy is someone that we've seen a little bit, but of course, Cuden's relatively untested here in the OPL and the Oceanic scene just in general, so we'll see exactly what's going to go on there. But let's have a look at the entire Direwolves roster. First up, Sharp is going to still be in the top lane. Sybil, of course, remains in the jungle, and Fantix, formerly Perfection, is going to be there in the mid lane with Raze and Cuden, like we were talking about there, and support and AD carry.
Yeah, so that is the Direwolves roster. We expect big things coming out of these guys. You know, we said top 4. One area that they arguably struggled in, Minky, I know that you loved playing against him last year. Sharp, what do you think is going to happen? Because he no longer has that excuse of, my rookie split as a top laner. This is someone that we're looking to step up.
Yeah, so Sharp has slowly been improving as a top laner, and he's getting a lot more consistent than he was last season. I really feel like he won't be spectacular, but he'll be, a very consistent pillar that the team can rely on.
Yeah, and going up against a veteran like Jack Attack, someone that you've casted for a long time, Atlas.
Yes.
Do you think he has what it takes to run over the top of him?
Well, you see, Jack Attack is never someone that's going to run over the top of anyone. He's always just sitting there in the top lane. He's actually named himself Potato Tank. I mean, he's got an account called that in the challenger ladder, so on solo queue. So this guy is definitely no stranger, just playing tanks, playing back, and making sure that he gets those teleports, gets that support for his team where it's needed. And Sharp, I think, has an opportunity to step up here and show exactly what he can offer the Direwolves. As far as a carry threat, we've seen this patch. This patch opens up the top lane. You can have the Quins, the Poppies, all sorts of champions that can really get into the back line, mess people up.
Yeah, of course, 5.24 means that we are playing on the preseason patch, not the one that is currently on live, which is going to kick the season off. And you're exactly right. There are so many anti-carries in the top lane. Misfortune's still unbuffed. We've seen around the world that there have been a lot of games played on this patch and a lot of different pick ban phases. What are we looking at to be taken away for both teams?
I really see the Oceanic teams mimicking either LCS or Korean meta, mainly because Koreans play a patch behind, so it's a lot easier to kind of mimic. So we're looking at tanky top laners. Bot lane would probably be Misfortune and Lucian, most contested, and mid lane will probably be a pokey.
6.1 is actually going to be the patch that we're on today, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, we have been seeing a lot of competitive play on the 5.24, so sort of the debut here in the Oceanic region.
Yeah, so that's Misfortune nerfed if we go off the top of it. So maybe not seeing as much because the E did take a hit there. Trundle also got touched, but, it wasn't that big, and I still expect to see a lot of that guy on the map. Mundo is still absolutely massive, so definitely agree. Tanks seem to be reigning supreme. Only the LCS we've seen so far on it, so, throw out the LPL and LCK, and it seems to be like a lot of these anti-carry threats in the top lane still are available. So certainly will be interesting going into this match. I definitely agree that Jack Attack, if there ever was a meta that suited this guy, it should be this meta, Atlas.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether he can actually step up. Of course, he was playing the Mundos, he was playing all sorts of these massive tanks in the top lane, and Mundo's looking fantastic at the moment. One thing I really want to talk about, especially with you there, Minky Whale, we saw in the previous patch, 5.24, it was basically League of Thunderlords. We were taking that as the Keystone Mastery almost every single time. Now with a few changes to these masteries, do you think we're going to see players pick up different ones, maybe heading down the offense tree a little bit more?
Yeah, so Riot have tried to influence players to, branch out and take the other Keystone Masteries. However, I'm really unsure because it's largely untested. Players like to do what's comfortable and what really works. We could see a few surprises, but I'm pretty sure it'll be mostly Thunderlords.
Yeah, I'm looking at Warlord's Bloodlust here as well. You get a little bit more attack speed. You get a little bit more of the health back there as well. We're finally going to see AD carries actually moving towards the Ferocity tree, which honestly makes sense thematically if you think about it. Like, they're pretty ferocious, generally want to be shooting people. I just really want to see that happen. Do you think it's been buffed enough?
I think maybe Warlords, but it's very, very situational because Thunderlord's just so strong. It scales with levels. It's just consistent high burst damage, and it works in any stage of the game, really.
Yeah, so certainly looking to see if there is any change up there. Grasp of the Undying, probably the only other mastery along with Thunderlords that gets a lot of play. And I guess the last thing that you have to touch on is the change in jungle, because it's not only the change of junglers, but the champion pool is completely different coming into this patch. Kindred has been released, probably the first AD carry jungler we saw, but now there's Graves added to the mix. Seb, very new jungler. Sybil loves the aggressive style. Who does this suit further?
It's really hard to say because... It's really hard to say just because, junglers, anything really works at the moment. The AD carry style meta is, the carry style jungler, but that really leaves you open to, getting bullied out of objectives because, you don't have the jungler to tank the dragons and the barons. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to seeing exactly what they take onto the Summoner's Rift. Fortunately, guys, there has been a slight delay getting onto the Rift, but we will bring it to you as soon as possible. And, I like the current trend that we're going through because this is a big Rift of questions, and not only for, I guess, 6.1, very new champion pools, very new teams, also a big question for the OPL as a whole. We were looking at consistency through a lot of the lineups, and there has been some big changes, Atlas. I guess we can start with Infernum because they're a brand new team, but the likes of Hellions, I know your team, Minky, has also made some good additions, and you guys are feeling very confident. Who are we looking at this split to really try and burst on the scene? Minky, I'm not starting with you because I know who you're going to say. Atlas, let's go to you.
Well, honestly, I'm going to say the same thing. I think that Legacy really managed to pick up a lot of key players. I love Tally moving back to the top lane just because his Riven was instrumental in 2014. I know it's looking back a long way, but Tallywacker, well, formerly Tallywacker, now Tally, was playing fantastically there in the top lane. A lot of aggression there in his champions, and this was a long time ago when it was mostly raining tanks, but now he has the opportunity to head back to those assassins. But look, I'm honestly beating around the bush because King's now your AD carry. You must be pretty happy to have that aggressive man there with Flying Dew in the bottom lane. I mean, both of these guys pretty keen to go in.
Yeah, King is a superstar. He's awesome. And I definitely think Legacy are going to win this season.
All right, so if you had to take Legacy out of the OPL, who are you looking at? Maybe he's your biggest contender.
Well, obviously that would be the Chiefs. They're, Legacy's longtime rival. We played against them like so many times before, and they still have a really strong roster despite losing Swiffer. I feel like they would be, the natural next best team after us.
And how do you think that Cheese is going to be a decent replacement there? Because, of course, he's been around the scene for a very long time, known as being really unpredictable there in the mid lane. Do you think it suits the Chiefs' playstyle to have Cheese on the roster?
I think it does. I mean, Cheese is, like Swiffer, but I feel like Swiffer just brought so much more than he did. We'll see how it goes. As he plays in the OPL, maybe he'll develop his own style and it might suit the Chiefs. But at the moment, I really feel like the Chiefs are missing that core component that they had.
Yeah, of course, when your captain steps off Summoner's Rift, always going to be hard to bounce back. Both Choose and Swiffer, although sang Cheese's praise last year when they were on the desk, they said don't like playing against him. Very erratic mid laner, does whatever the heck he wants. So we'll see if he's able to surprise some people. Sin is also a team, I guess, that we hyped up last year and maybe they fell a little bit short. They've got some good additions. Where do we think these guys are going to fall?
The thing that I really like about Sin is that these guys are super hungry. They never stop screaming. These guys, even over Christmas, they were still practicing, going really, really hard, making sure they could get in as much as they possibly could. So, what I'm seeing is a team that's of young players that are really hungry to get up the ladder. And it was a bit of a problem last split because their inexperience was showing. They showed a really good beginning. They gave Chiefs one of the hardest runs for their money in some of their games. And Chiefs, of course, went undefeated. So, this is a team that I believe we'll be able to get a little bit further this time around.
And, of course, they've dropped one of their veteran players in Rosie. He was their top laner. He's back on the Chiefs as a substitute. Chippy steps into that role, a person that's been around for a long time but never got a chance.
So Chippy has been getting a lot of praise from other top laners that I've heard about anyway. He's young, he's talented, he's got good mechanics. I think he's a great addition to Sin. I also think he's got a really good work ethic. He tries really hard. Scrims all the time, plays a lot of solo queue, and I think that suits the kind of Sin motto, of just working really hard and improving.
Yeah, so certainly a team that we're looking at to, I guess, make that next step, progress out of their rookie split. A couple of teams that we haven't mentioned, Avant-Garde, completely new roster.
Yeah.
We don't even know what to expect from these guys because, honestly, they've put Dynamites under what was a top 4 contender and just completely replaced everyone.
Yeah, and of course, the mid lane is where we're looking at the moment because, honestly, Kensti was a big part of that team when he was playing for the roster. So with him now gone and the fact that their mid laner that they really want to be playing for them turns 17 in a few weeks' time, Triple not going to be playing for the roster for the first couple. They're going to have Wrecked from solo queue, I believe, under a different alias, but we'll have to see what he actually decides to go with. But, of course, he's been infamous. In fact, I interviewed Swiffer last year, and Wrecked was one of the mid laners that he was saying was going to be very, very frightening heading onto Summoner's Rift, and he put him right up the top as far as solo queue mid laners. So, I mean, that could be something to look out for on the side of Avant-Garde, but really we don't know what to expect.
Yeah, we certainly don't. New bottom lane Destiny moving to AD carry position. What have you heard about that, Minky? Is there anything you can give us from scrims or how you've seen him being played?
Yeah, I think the thing with AV is they have so many new players that there's a lot of untapped potential. I haven't seen very much of AV at the moment, but I really feel like they can get there throughout the season. Destiny himself, obviously he's a veteran. He's played almost every role so far, and yeah, he fits in wherever he's placed. So I think coming forward in this season, players to look out for an AV. Probably Malaz at top lane and Destiny in bot lane.
Well, that sounds good. But, guys, we have heard the players already. So, without further ado, I'm going to toss it over to my evil twin and pastry time.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Loving the sweatpants here as well. My name is Julian Pastry Time Card. Joining me here on the casting desk, I guess, is Zach Rusty Pie. We're super excited for our first OPL match here. Best of threes, week 1. Direwolves going to be playing up against Infernum, formerly Absolute. What are we expecting here, Rusty?
There's so many things that we don't actually know. A lot of unknowns, but of course, all been mentioned on the desk. We'll start with the top lane one more time. The potato tank only, as he was referred to, Jack Attack. He's going to be taking on Sharp. And Sharp, again, he's now a leader in this team. He's been here for such a long time. Will have no excuse coming into this game. Needs to step up.
Sort of had that, I'm the new top laner, but doesn't have that anymore. We're into champ select, of course, so Infernum going to kick things off on the blue side. Direwolves over on the red. Kassadin, Yasuo, Twisted Fate. Just done by Fantix champion pool. I don't want to play against any of that, with Graves, Dr. Mundo, and Kindred being the 3 bans there from Direwolves.
This is seriously the quickest draft that I've ever seen in my entire life. I cannot actually keep up.
Gangplank's been picked, and we've got Rise SU with 2 more picks for Infernum. That's a big pick away from Fantix there from Infernum to start things off as well.
Definitely is, and Gangplank's something that's been banned a whole lot recently. Very surprised to see it go through, but of course, mostly targeted bans here.
There are so many. These picks are so fast. Trundle, Tom Kent going to join in there as well, but like we keep saying, the theme of this champ select is Fantix don't get any good champions.
But they do have one that could be flexed to him right now. Like, in fact, they've got 2 that could be flexed to him right now. Ezreal and Rise, both on Direwolves. Sharp has been seen playing Rise recently, so don't be surprised if it goes into that top lane. But there is a real chance that Fantix, if given a good matchup, will play that mid.
And we heard it from the desk as well. Fantix, formerly known as Perfection. You saw him play last year in the top lane, sometimes then in mid lane towards the latter half of last season. Excellent player, just so good and perfect almost in his play, which is why his old ID was so fitting. 2 more picks from Direwolves now, as they are taking their time. We've slowed down things a bit here in the draft after a lightning fast round of picks. At least being looked at here for Sybil. He does like his aggressive junglers.
You know, part of me is happy they slowed it down because no one can draft that fast without reacting to what has been picked in front of them. Of course, we have to look at Infernum's first 3 picks. They are monstrous picks. Like, they are the biggest power picks you can possibly
Talk about big potato tanks. We do have the Tom Kent and the Trundle potentially, as Elise Braum are the next 2 picks there from DW.
Yeah, so Elise and Braum picked up an aggressive jungler here for Sybil. Should be able to match that of Seb, which we know he does like to be aggressive and get in the face of people, is a big Lee Sin fan. So a smart decision here to go for the Elise jungle so well. Very rarely will you see an Elise get invaded because her dueling is so strong.
Yep, makes sense there. So you do have actually the draft done for Infernum. Lucian and Nidalee going to round things out for them, and Direwolves just 1 pick left now.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly a ridiculous draft. The Nidalee to round it out, of course, we are on 6.1, so that does mean Nidalee in the jungle is something you'll likely see a lot more of. She is very strong at the moment. Her clear is still the same as it always has been, but she's also up there with dueling potential against what is going to be this Elise.
I believe that juicy new jungle item and changing things up a bit, so Nidalee going to get a bit of an indirect buff there. Direwolves, though, do need something here. They're missing either a solo laner or an AD carry. I can see them flipping through a couple of ADs now. And Raze, we've heard it. He's this young, up-and-coming player, very talented. Big first game for him here, and he's going to have to take whatever champion he decides and make it look good.
Absolutely right, and he's got the Braum to back him up, so Kuden's going to be able to protect him with whatever champion he decides to play in this particular matchup. So no real concern, nothing to be afraid of in laning phase, but of course they've opted towards that Corki.
Yep, so they do have Corki now. It's a champion we have actually seen mid lane a few times as well. Every now and then he sneaks in. He's not a typical AD carry, whereas you look at Lucian there for Stealthix, much more typical of this patch, but lots of things to discover here on 6.1. You can see some of the champions going around. It will be based on the Gangplank by the looks of things. And we finished a draft, Rusty. Who do you think is coming ahead here? 6.1 does have a lot of new stuff on it.
It's hard to say. I think it comes down a lot to the jungle pressure in this game. You've got Tahm Kench against Ryze. Ryze can get out of hand and snowball very quickly, but so can Tahm Kench. if he ever gets ahead, there is no way that Rise can actually land against him. So Sharp needs to be very careful with his landing phase. The middle lane is just as snowbally with a Gangplank, who at the moment you would have to say is very strong with that Grasp of the Undying and Bandit combo, where you just get free gold for queuing them instead of the minions.
Sounds good. As we are going to have Midbeast take the in. There is also a pick away from Fantix, I believe, who's been going through the Gangplank and solo queue, really ripping people apart. Again, we can see that he is going to get the Ezreal as well, so you're right. It is going to be that mid Ezreal, of course. So we've seen a lot of this, I feel like, on this patch and the patch before it. Lots of 2-3 AD comps with a couple tanks either side as well.
Yeah, definitely. The meta seems to be the exact same in 6.1, or from what we've seen of it so far, compared to that of the LPL and LCK. So picking those two massive frontliner tanks, or at least one, and a self-sufficient type of champion such as the Alistars, to really round out the team comp and let the backline do damage.
Yeah, we can see the team comps here for both sides. Don't forget to get on Twitter, use the hashtag IamOPL. You can vote for either INF win or DW win if you want Infernum or Direwolves to have your support behind them with the tweets. But comps look good, I have to say. Players have done their homework. The first 30 seconds of their drop was so fast that it's good to see the players prepared here for game one.
Absolutely right, and they should be prepared coming into this. They've had some time, they know who they're going to be up against, and just like that, we're ready to get into it.
Certainly are. We'll get ourselves onto the roof for our first OPL game of the season, actually. It's nice to be in 2016, Rusty. Infernum taking on Direwolves, with Infernum over on the blue side for game one. Fantix going to hit a ward right in the face, but we do have a 5-man invade here, actually, from Infernum. Just going to get some deep vision down. Of course, Sharpie's maybe stranded here, hanging out in the top left-hand tri-brush. And this is deep vision. Whiffle going to go all the way up top here and get a very deep ward down, potentially spotting for that lane swap vision.
Yeah, so they've placed the ward there, and interestingly enough, I don't think that would reveal someone if they were trying to lane swap. So another ward has been placed a little bit deeper into the lane by someone else to prevent then any lane swap from occurring. The thing with that, though, is Sharp's already out. Sharp is in the lane, ready, sitting there, so they don't actually get any information from this Infernum. In fact, they just have to make that blind guess. They don't want the lane swap, and they're not going to be against it.
Yeah, smart play there from Sharp, actually hiding in that tri-bush and then sneaking into the top lane. We are going to see Stealthix and Whiffle heading to the bottom, but if they wanted the swap, they are going to get the 2v2 lane instead. So it seems like we'll have standard lanes. Cheeky little ward there from Direwolves as well, also going to spot that the Krugs are being started, and Sybil's going to start on this Grump. Bit of help there from his bottom lane, but things are going to set up pretty standard here in the early game.
Yeah, and of course the standard lanes, we did have some information basically given to us in that early level 1 in the drafting phases. Everyone knows what's going on, and no one's made any active decisions to prevent this from happening. Seb, he's about to get quite low in this first clear of the jungle because he hasn't opted into that heal just yet. So around level 3, once he finally gets the heal, we might see some gank attempts from this Nidalee. There's a very low chance of it, though, based off where he's starting.
Yep, both junglers actually on the blues right now, so we'll see where they end up and if we go for any early ganks. Elise especially pretty capable there. Nice little bit of harass there from Raze as well, using that Phosphorus Bomb at level 1. Kuden actually staying pretty far back here, just hiding himself in the brush. See a Thunderlord's proc there from the Lucian as we pop into the mid lane. Ezreal versus Gangplank. It feels like I haven't seen this one in a while.
Well, that's because you very rarely ever see a Gangplank in a game.
True.
He has been banned so often in every single other pro league that we've seen it maybe once, and that one time we did see it, it actually lost. So a very interesting decision. Midbeast, of course, every mid laner should know how to play Gangplank, as should every top laner, so not a surprise for him to pick it up. But we'll see if Direwolves actually know how to deal with it.
Well, I guess, as I said, Fantix has a lot of play on it personally, but it doesn't necessarily translate to a team experience. Sepu, like you said, getting quite low, but he's going to clear through the jungle very quickly. You can see Sybil now actually nice and healthy, of course, with as Elise. Going to clear out the Scuttle Crab here and maybe even look for a look top.
And interestingly, this is the major difference. Of course, you're trying to start on your weak side of the jungle, work towards your strong side, and look towards that gank. The thing with that is Seb, starting at his blue buff, isn't going to get a massive leash if he was otherwise with his bottom lane. So very low. I would be surprised to see if this aggression continues past where he is now.
Well, it does spot the Scuttle Crab, so just going to take that for a bit of extra XP and stay relatively healthy. He does have the heal skilled up now. Bottom lane, nice pillar there, but Ray's going to be able to last it relatively easily under turret here with a bit of help from Kuden. So not looking too bad here. The lane's actually fairly even across the board. Even Jack on the big tank there, and Tom Kench getting shoved in early on a bit by Sharp, but no struggles at all. Again, lots of farming in the early stages.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're looking at an Ezreal against the Gangplank, so if we want to talk about farming, that is the massive lane to do it on. Top lane as well, they do want to scale a little bit. You're looking at the Barmy Cinder type of power spike for Jack Attack to deal with the wave clear that will inevitably come out of Sharp once he gets the tier on level 6. So scaling mid lane, scaling top lane. Nidalee always wants to get a bit of farm, so as spears start to chunk people down, they're okay with farming themselves, and the bottom lane really is the only questionable one because they can spike a little bit earlier.
Yeah, well, taking it easy so far at least, as we had a fairly quiet first 4.5 minutes. Midbeast setting up some kegs now. Nice auto there from Fantix. Just going to make sure he clears it out of the way, but once again, shouldn't be too bad here. Kuden jumps in, looks for the Q, will miss it there onto Stealthix, who's with a nice sidestep there just to the right. Sybil now doing a bit of counter jungling though. Actually going to take away the Raptor camp, although Midbeast does want it. Sybil will smite it away and just get away with robbery.
And Sybil 1 level behind Seb at the moment. Does need to tread slightly carefully, otherwise he could run into a very awkward situation. Seb doesn't spot him, but Sybil knows. Oh, never mind, they do.
Gets out of the way. Actually a ward right there. Little now see with the Raptor buff that he stole away. Will clear it. So a nice little bit of early vision here. We've talked about it a bit, but vision in the preseason, much harder to come by these days.
Definitely is, of course. Only having the pink wards is something that you can purchase. You need to be very careful with those vision trinkets and where you're placing them down, or you could run into situations where the junglers will come up to you. One thing I want to touch on right now is the difference between these mid laners. Fantix being ranged and having that natural early advantage is putting him in a very positive situation against Midbeast, who seems to be a little bit stuck under his turret.
He does, getting pushed in and falling behind a bit in CS. We've talked a lot about Fantix's mechanics, so looking good there in the early stages. As Sharp does TP his way back to top lane, but he has a tier to start stacking up as well. So again, the scaling here for Direwolves, they're more than happy to sit and wait, but Infernum are probably just fine with the early gentleman's agreement.
Absolutely right. Of course, I don't know if it's a gentleman's agreement, more of a neutral stance at the moment. They do want to kill each other. Don't get that misconstrued. They just haven't found a way to do so. Hopefully they find their way in. Of course, a different decision here from Jack Attack with his itemization. Didn't want the wave clear from the Balmy Cinder. Instead, the Spectre's Cow to survive the burst out of Rice.
Yep, I mean, not too bad here. We'll shake off some Elise damage as well, so fairly safe in the top side, but that's relatively true of Tom Kench, I think, as a general rule.
Petition to change his name to Jack Attack.
Jack Attack? Maybe. We'll have to see. See if we can hook that up there as Sybil does find a pink ward. Going to clear that out of the way and put some vision down of his own. Now going to take the Scuttle Crab as well, so getting a bit of early aggression down in this jungle. You can see Cinderhawk coming out now for Sybil, but of course, as expected, we will have Seb going for that more aggressive new AP jungle item.
Yeah, absolutely right. The Runic Echoes should be the item of choice here for Seb. Has the same passive, the unique passive, as Fantix actually killing them.
That was very tight.
That has ruined a lot for Midbeast. He now has to take poke if he wants to get farm, and actually really struggling in this middle lane. But as I was saying, the Echo's passive is the exact same as Luden's Echo for Seb, so he'll probably itemize towards a Lich Bane on his Nidalee jungle after getting that new item.
And if you guys seen Nidalee jungle before, when she gets going with those items, does do a fairly substantial amount of damage as Fantix finally eats a barrel. So you can see he's still keeping the CS lead nice and high here for himself. 20 CS ahead actually, nice and early in the mid lane.
But yet to recall himself, so doesn't have the items to deal with the sheen on Midbeast on this gangplank at the moment. He's looking to stay here, and honestly, if he's going for a tier item, I would deem that as a mistake.
That's true, actually.
He's at his second blue buff rotation, isn't going to be able to stack that tier, has to recall.
Yep, pretty much all the Ezreal mid we've seen recently has been blue Ezreal, and even Ezreal bottom when we've seen it as an AD carry, so I have to agree there. Fantix, kind of in typical style, is getting quite greedy for a lot of this early CS.
We do know Fantix waits until 20 minutes to come online no matter what champion he's playing, so this isn't really a surprise whatsoever yet.
Not yet. Just going to clear these up. Blue buff helping out immensely, of course, in the farm battle, but seem to grow that CS lead rather than go back for some items. We'll see how that works out, especially if Seb is going to come around to that mid lane potentially, but Nidalee is farming up happily right now. Blue might go over here to mid-beast as well. He's going to start setting that up. Good ward there from Direwolves. We'll spot it, but unless the ulti comes out here, which is already used for Fantix to clear the wave, not going to be able to take this one away. And he does go back. It is a tier.
And it took him quite some time to get that tier, so a little bit delayed on the stacking of that tier. Should be perfectly fine, as he definitely still has that blue buff available to him, as Whiffle's looking for it.
Tag. That could be bad news there for the Braum. Passive does not trigger. Raze needs one more auto. Celtic's actually coming back in. He's got the culling. And Raze took a little too much damage there.
Celtics probably could have used his ultimate there just to make sure they continue to poke them out and win that trade, but instead opts to hold on to it and saves it for if they fight again in the future. The threat of that ultimate being there is a lot more than it already being used for a bit of extra damage.
Yeah, and you can see Wiffle and Stealthix might start playing a little bit further up in this lane. Do have BF Sword already finished for Lucian, so auto's starting to hurt. Phage there for Raze is just fine in any sort of duel situation, as Sybil is going to spot the pink ward in the exact same spot. That's some pretty nice gold, and of course some great vision clearing into his back pocket.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of vision, across the board here, both teams are focusing solely on that vision to let their laners go as more poke bottom.
Kuden a little off on that shield, and that's going to be good damage once again onto Raze. Celtics and Wiffle really shoving them into this turret. It's not affecting the CS just yet, but creating good pressure here in the bottom lane.
But Seb is stalking his way around here, so looking for an opportunity as there isn't a ward in the bush that he's in at the moment. Should actually find maybe a semblance of a gank.
Yeah, good coverage here actually, as Seb just wants the spear. We're going to have to see if Kuden's reactions are on point. He's standing well and truly in front of Raze. Now he might face check, he barely misses the bush there. And Seb actually might just give it up here.
The patience from Seb doesn't actually want to reveal himself at all, not even by throwing a spear out for poke. Instead, opts to recall, and they can play around not knowing where the vision is from, Direwolves not knowing if he's in that bush. But Sybil seems to have an inkling because he's stealing away the jungle.
I mean, he has vision here, so he knows he's not at the Grom. At least can infer that information. So while he knows he's not, well, his bottom side probably is going to steal that away and get a big hefty bonus there for stealing that. In fact, here come the Wolves as well. Sybil does not have his smite though. Will Spirit will spot Sybil moving through the jungle as Seb going to clear that out now. Very efficient with that jungle enchant now that he's finished it up.
Yeah, definitely will be. And honestly, I think Seb needs to start focusing this middle lane. He needs to help because seriously, Midbeast may have that teleport, but he's losing trades and he's starting to get further and further behind an Ezreal that is still going to continue to scale. And this is when Ezreal's necessarily weak.
Oh, actually trouble in the bottom lane. Raze could be in a bit of strife here. Wiffle, he's going to get CC'd up there by the Braum passive. And good trade there back and forth. Kuden doing a nice job covering this lane, but Raze continuing to take a little too much damage in these trades.
Stealthix starting to come up prime. Of course, the BF Sword against the Phage and a Mana Crystal. A slight edge here in favor of the Infernum bottom lane. They are making their presence known in the lane, but they haven't found their way into a kill yet.
Seb does steal the Scuttle Crab. That's good vision taken away. So had a little jungler battle there. Fantix again. Oh, doesn't get it that time. Damage is good. But Fantix not too worried. Just going to pop a potion. And pull the wave all the way back.
Keeping in mind, Sybil is right there as well. Cleared away the vision. Midbeast, of course, knew it was there because he cleared away the vision.
Ooh, good Q actually. We'll find a pink ward as well. Looks like Stealthix and Wiffle do want to go back, so bit of a respite here in bottom lane for Raze and Kuden, but Wave not in the best spot. Stealthix kind of says, okay, we kind of have to stay now.
And they definitely have to. It's a real problem. Of course, Stealthix has his ultimate. He could use it at any time if he ever feels like he desperately has to clear the wave. Is feeling pressured, but is opting to stay, I'm guessing, a little bit closer to the item that he really wants.
Yep, should be building in towards probably Essence Reaver. It's been the fairly common first item for a lot of Lucians, but could be almost anything with the BF Sword, as Sybil is going to wander down here, but will be spotted by a ward. In fact, 2 wards as a fresh one just gets put down. Yeah, they know you hear Sybil now. They definitely know they know they're here.
Well, Sybil knows at least this time, so he's going to have to back off. Just looking to pressure them, of course.
Ooh. Oh, Fantix could be in trouble. Actually looking for the 1v1, but here comes Seb as well. Fantix does have the ulti, just needs to line it up. Will juke the spear. Might even go for the 1v2 here. He's in vision. I think he wants to throw the ulti, but Dial just collapsed onto Dragon.
It took quite a lot of time, but Seb finally drew his attention towards that middle lane that is desperately requiring him. GP has a teleport. Infernum, they may want to fight this.
They may. Oh, Stealthix actually coming around. Kuden in trouble. Has to flash out after using it. Seb will move in to steal the Dragon, but here come the rest of Infernum. Sybil now caught on the right side. Does get tagged up by the Tom Kentra. He will be first blood. In fact, a double kill. Seb comes up massive in that fight.
Seb getting 2 kills is massive on a snowball champion like Nidalee. Infernum, of course, they had the teleport available for Midbeast and Jack Attack, and that was where they came up trumps. Fantix looked for some very big trades. He thought he was winning that 1 versus 2, and Direwolves naturally progressed towards the Dragon because it's just the free objective to take. In this case, though, not so free, and they pay for it.
Certainly do. Ooh, spear just misses there as well. Seb continuing to apply pressure as the first early trades actually go to Infernum. 1,000 gold up now after those 2 kills. And they got the Dragon Steel.
Exactly right, in a comfortable position. Seb has to step up from this point on. Of course, we know he's new to the team. Very new to that lineup, and if he doesn't start carrying for his team, as Sharp throws his Q through a minion, weirdly enough. then, I mean, honestly, Infernum, they won't have much left. And we're going to see this again, of course. The teleports, looks like 2 of them on the exact same ward. Catching Direwolves by surprise, Seb picks up the first kill onto Kuden, who was way in the distance with a spear, and picks up that second one straight away. Double kill for Seb, too easy.
Yeah, and there's Midbeast now going to get the blue donated over as well. You can see Vision starting to be put down. Whiffle moving out aggressively to clear some vision over his own. And Celtics has finished at Essence Reaver. Raze on the other side does have his Trinity Force completed. And the Iceborne Gauntlet with the Manamune on the way is now up for Fantix. So early itemization starting to come together. Even Rod of Ages done for Sharp is good timing on that as well. But Midbeast going to have that Trinity Force soon enough. Jag Attack nice and tanky early with that Spirit Visage. And all of a sudden, almost 15 minutes into the game, we've got first items across the board.
We definitely do. Big power spikes. Both people having those Trinity Forces is a good sign of fighting that should be coming from this. If it doesn't eventuate, I will be quite surprised. Champions like Corki, they want to utilize that Trinity Force and actually get themselves further ahead so that they can stay in that position. If it doesn't work out for them, then they start to drop behind, and those rockets on the ultimate feel a lot less impactful than you would like.
Certainly do. There's Direwolves are going to try something here. Jag Attack going to eat Sharp though, and damage is good there from the time. Can't craft the Undying procs. Tongue Lash not quite there for the stun. The snare is good, but he's forced to flash. Jag Attack might even look for the dive. Ulti out there as well. Jack wants it, goes in for the Tongue Lash and gets it, but Sybil is going to catch him off with the Cocoon as well. Plenty of grey health though, and he's just going to use it. He might even go in to eat Sybil, but Fantix is roaming up as well. He's going to have to eat him. No, repels good. Does get eaten though, and Fantix is still coming up. Can't get him over the wall. Sybil's going to maybe get the 1v1. No, not enough. Fantix comes in, does save him, and collects the kill.
With Sybil trying really hard to give the kill to Fantix, who was making his way all the way top. Very nearly from Jak Attack there, gets himself a lot of damage on a Sybil and looking at a second kill, but unfortunately Jak Attack forcing himself in a dive as bottom's fighting.
Yeah, Kuden has to back up there, and now here comes the dive. Midbeast and Seb, here's the insta TP, is up from Sharp. Ulti as well, barely misses Whiffle just on the end there. And Sharp has to TP because he needs to save his bottom lane.
The most unfortunate thing about that dive that happened top was the way that the... Oh, you need to be careful. He should be fine. It's a blue Ezreal.
He's going for it. No, barrels missed. Seb is going to be the next one. Fantix shifts out of the way. Direwolves don't really want to fight, just trying to play damage control. The aggression starting to step up in the bottom lane here as Fantix eats a spear.
Why is he not respecting the Nidalee? This is a 2-0 Nidalee, who's almost at her Rod of Ages at 17 minutes as a jungler.
Yep.
And has completed the jungle item. And Fantix is trying to trade with Ezreal cubes, and he's really paying for it.
Yeah, just doesn't have the items up quite yet. Still looking for those 2 items that really kick off the blue Ezreal power spike. Direwolves, though, are going to get a bit of breathing room here in the bottom lane. Clear this wave up. Probably look to go back just to make sure everything's A-okay. Celtics does get tagged, but they're just going to leave it here. They might lose the tower if they're looking to recall now. And Sharp back in the top lane using that ulti. Going to proc the passive and clear through this minion wave. But it just feels like the Wolves are still scaling. You talked about 20 minutes there for Fantix. That's kind of true of the top lane and less to the bottom lane, but a little bit of that as well.
No, it definitely is. And we'll see if they actually want to utilize the... Let's call it the Direwolves standard 20-minute power spike, where they just start to randomly group up as 5 people, and that's where they win most of their games. They are working towards it at a pretty brisk pace, as you can see. Fantix has got the items he's looking for.
Yep, Manamune completed there. Doesn't quite have the transform yet, but shouldn't be too much longer as he spams out the spells. Top lane, actually, can see 2v2 emerging as Sybil is going to find Seb. Echo will proc, and Sybil's like, yeah, I don't want this at all. Cinderhawk Elise should respect the power of Nidalee. Seb doing a lot of damage right now.
I think Seb needs to respect Sybil as well, because Sharp is just watching him as he tries to kill that ward. The big stylistic difference to note at the moment, though, is Sybil's gone for the Cinderhulk option, whereas Seb is going for that Runic Echoes. So damage against tankiness. Of course, I will say the Direwolves need that tank besides Kuden. They don't really have much else.
Yeah, no Alistar here for that sort of support tank that we see a lot of the time. And of course, we've got the Trundle and Tarma. Yep, Packet is here. Does go over. Oh, no.
Oh, Raze, welcome to the OPL. This is your moment.
Straight into the trees there on that one, but he'll pick the plane up and be okay. Civil and Kuden are clearing out a ward together, so Dragon up in 20 seconds. I mean, the Direwolves are looking to get a bit more room around this Dragon area. You can see, other than that, Fantix going to pop the ulti, go in for mid-beast, but Trinity Force up, BF Sword here as well. Game playing damage pretty much here at this point.
Absolutely. The Gangplank is powering up, and he is in a very dangerous position. All he needs is that second item to be completed for the cooldown reduction, that Essence Reaver, hopefully. It might be going straight for the Infinity Edge, an aggressive option. You lose a lot of your cooldown reduction, but you get a lot more damage if those barrels crit.
Certainly do. As continuing to farm up here in the bottom side. Just here Zeal in for Stealthix now as well, so probably rapid fire cannon on the way as Seb is down here. 3v2 right now, ulti up from GP as well. Kuden barely misses getting tagged by that Spirit. Now they'll turn around. Stealthix hitting a huge amount of damage as Sybil's down here as well. Gonna try and turn it into a 3v3, but the culling is used. A spear will land, and the Direwolves cannot continue.
Those spears do so much damage. Direwolves honestly almost could have turned that back around if it wasn't for Seb being there. He still hasn't gone back to get that Rod of Ages, so he's very close to being online one more time as a result ultimate hits the shopkeeper. That's a bit rude.
Does clear the wave, of course.
Oh, you got a notification for that now.
Oh, bye Harold.
See you, Harold.
Won't see him today, or at least not in this game.
Baron's reclaimed his land.
That's true.
Damn squatters.
7 Sybil once again at it, but that pink ward hotly contested. As Seb is going to move his way forward. Fantix again with the blue buff. Level 13. Cooldown boots done as well. Powering up nice and quickly here. Again, really tight mechanics taking out those Gangplank barrels. But now grouping mid. Fantix just seem to have the 1v1 matchup. Don't know if he's got the 3v1 matchup just down pat yet.
Well, I think he's got the
Seb.
2v1.
Yeah, has to be careful. Talked about the respect before. Both these champions will do a lot of poke damage.
They absolutely will. This Ezreal is online. Fantix is looking aggressive as if he wasn't already. And this is the point in the game where the Direwolves will probably look for something to do. The Dragon's available. The Baron's there, but I'm not going to say they'll go for that. As Seb, he's opting towards a sneaky Dragon.
Yeah, Nidalee pretty good at solo dragons. The rest of his team will join him, or at least the bottom lane here. No vision currently up for the Direwolves, so that's going to be very free. It's Seb getting greedy on the money once again. Still hasn't got that Rod of Ages if that's what he wants.
I mean, surely he has enough now, but he just hasn't opted into recalling just yet. Good timing to do so if I were Seb. It's been about 5 minutes since he's had
still
those
jungling.
Items. Yeah, and he's
I just
still
saw him hop
jungling.
into the red buff.
Rumor has it Seb is still hitting the jungle instead of buying his scaling item.
Yeah, that's the issue. 10 minutes to charge that one up fully. He had almost 17 minutes, it looked like.
He had it
which
at
is
16.
Yeah, which is late but acceptable, especially from the jungle. We're almost at 22 minutes now at this point. So, you know, he's kind of investing, I suppose. Makes a bit of sense here, but is going to not go back just yet. Now we go. Hits the recall button and looks to be spending that money. Fantix also going to do the same here. And Sharp powering up as well. Doesn't quite have the Seraphs on the way as there's the Rower out for Seb. And Swiftness boots done as well. So stay to complete the tier 2 boots. See if he can make it work here. His mid base still struggling. His mid tower is very close to going down. And this will be the first one of the game.
And Fantix organically takes down his own turret in essentially a 1 versus 1 scenario. Seb's been around. There's been a bit of pressure from Whiffle, and Kuden was here to hold his hand through it. But again, a lot of this is coming down to how the 1 versus 1 is being played. There's mind games with Gangplank Cakes. Sybil found Seb.
Yeah, that could be bad news. Seb taking big chunk damage here as he pounces away. Sybil still going to chase in as Chilling Smite, actually going to move him down. Red buff is there, but the good flash from Seb will keep him safe. Sybil recoils his Spiderlings, does keep them to safety, but this should be a blue buff here going over to the Dials mid laner.
Definitely will be, of course, Fantix. No, it's not. You missed your cue. You had one shot, mate. One opportunity.
Well, didn't get it that time.
Everything you ever wanted.
Spaghetti knees coming into play there.
Fantix spaghetti mode.
Scooting and Raze continuing to apply pressure on the bottom side. Sybil will rotate top actually and help out Sharp being able to take that particular structure. And we talked about gold leads before. Infernum were up 1,000, but 2 towers down. 1,000 gold up now for the Dials as the game switches back just a bit.
It definitely has switched back. I was going to say the last recall that Fantix put in place, he didn't buy anything. And that's why, because he's almost got his
Oh, Gouda could be in trouble. Big damage there. Good flash out, but he goes maybe the wrong way. Ulti out there as well. Will knock up Seb. Raze. He's going back in for it. And now the TP going to come through from Sharp. Who can he lock down? Great exhaust onto the Rise there as well.
Teleports.
And counter TPs are coming in. Mid-biz barely misses getting tagged. Jack's here as well to party in the bottom lane.
They're looking to wave clear now, basically. Control the lane. They've committed as all 5 members towards this objective. Raze is low, Kuden is low, and honestly, Direwolves should not be able to defend this.
Well, see what they can get done here. Fantix making his way down, but the tower is dead. That's going to bring the gold lead back into Infernum's favor now, and they've got those 2 dragons, don't forget. Up in kills, up in dragons, now starting to even up the structures. Infernum looking good here, but that mid game, it's feeling very explosive. We haven't had that one big fight just yet.
No, we haven't. We've come close, as we did just then. Now, no teleports are going to be available, so there is a chance that we won't actually get that big fight until they are, because anyone goes into that side wave or the spear.
Yeah, big damage onto Fantix. Takes about 25% of his health. We'll lifesteal some of that back now with that Vampiric Scepter, but can't leave the AD mid laners alone for too long. As Sybil eats another one. Good hands.
Seb is so good at throwing these spears. He's connecting with everyone that should not be getting hit by them, basically. He's got his Rod of Ages working towards Azonia's Hourglass. Once that's completed, you'll see a whole new Nidalee transform into this game.
Rez gets it right this time, all the way over to get straight to the farm. Just what you want to do with the Corki package.
Praise the Corki gods.
And now Fantic's going to pick up blue buff for himself as well. So almost level 16 on this Ezreal. Just getting so strong so quickly. Still up pretty heavy amount of CS there as well, keeping it about 20 to 30 all lane long.
Definitely feels like everyone's just waiting towards their big spikes, and they're starting to hit the spikes and having awkward trades, and it feels like doesn't even get gold for it. It didn't exist.
Oh, I think
that's such
Sybil
a
must have switched into
yeah,
human
he
form.
did.
Oh,
But
disappointing.
it stays in Jack's mouth.
Yeah.
Until he spits it out. Yeah.
Odd.
The Phantom Spider.
Too spooky. As Direwolves will take out the tower. That's their third of the game. All the outers now fell on the Infernum side, but they are looking to answer in top lane. Jack will meet the wave here in the tier 2, so that'll be okay. And Sharp just here trying to force 7 Stealthix out of his lane, but looks like that tower's already gone, so forget that plan. Sharp is going to defend the tier 2 as Fantix with time alone here. This should be a dead tier 2 in mid lane.
This should be, of course. You can see Whiffle on the outside. He's got that pillar of ice.
Mini wave not cooperating.
No, and they don't get the turret that they're looking for. One stylistic difference at the moment, keep in mind, 6.1. There's changes to yellow trinkets cooldown.
Yep.
The later the game goes, and Infernum have opted towards having 2 of them, having 1 blue trinket on their AD carry, and having 2 of the sweeper trinkets, which is almost akin to the Worlds patch with the way that they're actually buying what they're looking for.
Yep.
Or having what trinkets they're looking for. Direwolves, on the other hand, committing to the blue trinkets and having 2 reds in response.
Which was kind of the standard we saw before that change on this particular patch. So interesting to see how the teams are thinking about trinkets different, as we do have plenty of changes
That or they forgot.
into this. That's true too.
It's entirely possible.
Wouldn't put it past them, but we'll see what they're doing for now. As we do have Sarah is completed for Sharp. I mean, of all the things you're going to forget, it's probably a trinket change.
100% of the time.
It's in the bottom of the patch notes somewhere.
Usually have the support telling me to change in 20 minutes.
Well, Sharp now getting quite strong. Stiffness boots up as well, of course. Another changed item that we've talked about at length every now and then. But seeing, again, plenty of them here in this game. I spot 3 pairs, 4 pairs so far.
Very good against the Infernum comp, I will say. They've got the Tum Kench Tongue, they've got Nidalee if Nidalee goes Rylai's, they've got Mid-Beast Barrels, and they've got Whiffle with that Pillar of Ice. So it's slow reduction, very handy, whereas Tenacity, not so much.
Yeah, Dial's looking to fight, though, by the looks of things. Bloodthirst was completed by Fantix, so he has 3 items already and wants to fight. You can see Dial's looking around this dragon. They want to contest for something.
Is it?
Oh.
Yeah, again, Seb is heat-seeking. That's 2 out of 2 so far. We'll see what happens from here.
Good block from Kuden. Will reduce some of that barrel damage, but the Direwolves know there's a weak mid-tower here. Good juke back as well. Culling now forced out. Sybil going in, looking for the dive. He's onto Stealthix, but he might not have found enough of it. Tower's going to get low. They will take it. Sybil eats a big bunch of damage, but he'll get out safely.
Yeah, Sybil actually just zoning away as he's...
Yeah, there's a Tom Kench in the back, but Midbeast is forced to flash out. Sybil going straight in 1v4, but he's barely going to live. Will he? No, it doesn't look like it, as Seb does take him out. And Jack attacks just into the backlines. Kuden's forced to flash out as well. And that was almost a suicide mission from Sybil.
It honestly felt like it. Twice in a row, Sybil's just placed himself in front of the enemy team. He is a tank Elise, so he does take a fair bit to take down, and he almost took Stealthix with him and blew the exhaust from Whiffle and the heal from the Lucian on Stealthix. So not too bad of a play, but Jack Attack was in the backline at the exact same time, and he's a bigger tank. There's no comparison.
He had a very sneaky ulti flank, I believe, to set that all up. And this is going to be Dragon number 3 for Infernum. Starting to get really quickly towards the 3rd Dragon, given the tempo of this game. We're going to watch this again. Sybil, he wanted Stealthix, he just couldn't get him.
Yeah, he also confined himself into the crevice in that corner of the Wraith area. There's no way out from there. No minions are going to magically walk by and say, I'll give you a lift, bro. You're sweet.
Well, he ought to use this flash to tower dive.
Exactly.
As they were pushing
this
in.
is my problem with that. And the exact same thing happened from Kuden 2 seconds earlier. He had to use his flash to get out of the exact same crevice. It's not a safe spot. In fact, it's dangerous.
Certainly not, but Direwolves at least get the tower. So can look at that as maybe a win for themselves here. Gold again, actually back to even at this point with 4 towers to 2, but game very close as we've had pretty much 30 minutes of farming with intermittent action. 5 kills only in this particular point of the game. So that big fight we keep talking about could be around the Baron at this point, could be around the challenge for Dragon 4 or 5 for Infernum, but it's coming, and these champions are going to get real fun by the time we get there.
And we mentioned the teleports being available, where they definitely are now. The last fight, Jack Attack used his ultimate to get in, opposed to the teleport. There's the option for a 1-3-1 here for Infernum.
Yep, certainly is. Time Kent with the Barmy Cinder. Able to push out just fine. Spandix going back in again. Does have to shift over that pillar. Has to play a little bit more careful here. Raise off to the side. Way caught out here as Wiffle just going to go in here, but still taking good damage. Actually, might even go down. Trundle support, not that tanky.
Trundle doesn't take much damage, but if you walk head first into a Corki, I feel like you will take a fair bit, as we're going to see Jack Attack back into this bottom lane. It's going to use that ultimate because the teleport is available.
Yep, does have, I guess, the extra teleport spell there with the ulti and the summoner spell. So Sharp might be forced into a different lane, but you can see both teams almost trying for that split. Sharp and Jack Attack at different points, trying to push out those different lanes and get more of an edge on the map.
Yeah, and again, the top lane's got a big stack of minions that Raze is going to go have to deal with, basically. Otherwise, it'll start being lost to the turret. And that's a lot of lost gold that the Direwolves definitely want to pick up. So smart from Raze, but it's also a situation where Infernum could look towards that middle lane.
Yep, you can see the rest of Direwolves grouping up here, defending pretty nicely, actually. That mid tower is nice and healthy. That's probably the biggest issue in this game for Infernum, is that they don't really have any good central points of attack. They've got the flanks there with the top and bottom outer turrets gone, but there's a big wide open space in their mid lane that Direwolves can try and exploit.
So this is a situation where I honestly think Sharp can fight Jack Attack, just finish his Void stuff, he's good to go.
Yep.
He will absolutely destroy Jack Attack through that ult rotation and all of his spells. And this is where it actually gets a little bit tricky for Infernum, because look at Fantix's farm, look at Raze's farm. They are massive.
Certainly are.
Like, they are beyond massive.
Well above the curve as well. So Raze actually just went back. Might have a package, but the speed is going out. Doesn't look like it. Fantix again going to eat a spear, but Bloodthirster Shield doing overtime here.
Yeah, so the counter has always been some kind of lifesteal. The overshield from the Bloodthirster is a very good way to deal with the Nidalee. Even if the spears connect now, they're not really chunking him through that overshield. So in a comfortable position here, you would have to say Direwolves is
this will be interesting. I don't know. Oh, nice juke, but Sharp doesn't want the fight. I think he expects the rest of Infernum to be here. So Jack will scare him away, forcing the ulti out of Sharp. Sybil trying to get some vision, but again, this Dragon area has pretty much been owned by Infernum this game. Oh, very nice hit. The rest of the team comes in. Fantix not going to have to flash as well. Damage is massive, but the X-Trigger will proc. Culling is not quite enough. Fantix lives on 15 health.
That is almost cruel. Infernum, they're going to get the turret, and they can look towards potentially the Baron or another type of objective here. They've got some time where Fantix has to recall, but instead they want to work the bottom turret. Jack's already set it up.
Yep, wave has been pushed in, so they will move their way into this lane and try and pressure a bottom tier 2. Mid beast, good barrels down there. Does miss it though. Really nice autos here from the Direwolves lineup, denying a lot of that gangplank power. Now going in for Sep. Raze with a massive package play, but the Zonya's going to get popped in there for Sep. Sybil around the side, stuns up Whiffle as Stealthix. Now going to get jumped on as well, but the rest of the Direwolves support squad sort of caught as a nice 4-man ultis out there from Grom. Sharp now looking for the next player. Sybil gets his way off. Whiffle will be the first to fall as Fantix will claim it. And a big fight, but only one kill there.
Direwolves managing to find a single kill. Jack Attack just sits in the back line of Direwolves and just annoys them. Gets his grey health to a massive amount, and this time he actually flashes out, recognizing that his team is not going to win the fight, and they consolidate their losses, and they only actually get Whiffle for this, as the engage from Raze and Sharp was exactly what it needed to be, but mistimed spells the biggest factor in this, because Nidalee gets out with her life, even if it was just barely. Whiffle gets stunned by the Braum passive. The rest of the team just walk their way out.
Yep, full Whiffle there. The support, which is I guess the one you expect to lose, does go down there as Sybil will take out the Baron side Scuttle Crab. 55 seconds now to Dragon 4 for Infernum. Direwolves would certainly like the stats, but what they really want is Infernum not to be on 4 dragons.
Absolutely right. The threat of the 5th dragon is something you don't often see, but is very likely to happen in this particular game. They've had control of the dragon area. they're doing very well in regards to that objective that they're trying to control. My question is, why are they not looking at the Baron whatsoever? Look at all the vision control that's in place there from Direwolves. It's essentially permanent vision because they're not looking to contest it in Infernum. And if they're blue wards, then they're actually very efficient with their vision placement from the Direwolves.
Yeah, absolutely. As Jack is still pushing his bottom side, might be trying to get some pressure down. Yeah, Sharp out of mana, going to have to just leave the area. Wiffle does do a check in there for some wards, but doesn't see too many. Scuttlecrab, of course, providing that vision. But Infernum now moving on to that Baron side, like you mentioned. They're the ones actually to get initial vision down here.
And they definitely should be, because Direwolves are kind of feeling on the back foot. They're just sitting back and wave clearing. And honestly, at this point in time, Infernum look like the ones who should have absolute control of the map. The gold lead is not very different at all. But this is actually a big deal.
This would be big. Seb is here ready for the steal. Needs to throw that spear, but it's too late. That was a very fast dragon. Seb didn't have time to throw the spear,
and this
let alone take the dragon.
Again, Infernum aren't really on top of their objectives. They're looking and they have the right idea, but they're not being efficient with being there in advance. They were looking at the Baron. The dragon was just taken from under them. And there's another 6 minutes now that's gone to waste if they were looking for the 5th dragon.
Yep, and we talked about the threat of the 5th dragon. Big sigh of relief there from the Direwolves, as they don't have to worry about that objective for a little while longer, and they'll get a nice boost to their stats as well. The 1st dragon feels like the most important one these days, apart from the 5th, of course. But pretty hard to get there, as we've noticed, as the Wolves now feeling a bit better about themselves. Still eating spears, but Fantic's shrugging them off at this point. He's going to just start pushing down this wave. Jack's still on that bottom side, though.
Yeah, I mean, they were looking to run a 1-3-1, you would have to say, Infernum, but they need mid-beast to poke. The problem here is they're running a poke comp against a lot of sustain. They've got Fantix, who's just straight up gone lifesteal. They've got a Corki, who's actually not even being hit by any of the poke. He's just sitting in side lanes for the most part. It's impossible to hit Sybil. Sharp's doing the exact same thing. And Direwolves are kind of just running Infernum around. They know they're behind, and they're not trying to fight, but Infernum aren't pushing that aggressively enough until now.
Yeah, now they are. This is a really nice spot, actually. They spot raising the top lane, pushing out the wave. Big ulti there, but not enough to deter them from pushing that tower. 5-4 now, actually, in structures, as Infernum have found their way with about 2,000 gold up. But honestly, at this point, 36 minutes in, it's going to be more about the execution and play around the map, and especially those big team fights around objectives.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We'll see if they want to focus those. I mean, again, it feels like they're waning a little bit. They're focusing more on the vision control than they are committing to anything. Direwolves, the first team to look aggressive.
There's a ward in the back, though. Infernum are going to know this is happening, but the Direwolves are going to rush things down.
There.
They are there, but now Direwolves might turn and fight. Gangplank ulti does get burnt. Jack Attack going to try and move somebody up there. Culling's out as well. Blocked in from Kuden. Fantix has to get out of the way, and Sharp sort of moving back there as well. Ulti out from Kuden to disengage. Where can Sybil even go from this point? Does go back down, but Stealthix maybe caught out. Eats a Q from Ezra, and it's almost enough to take him out. Sharp now, the next target, as he's moving out damage, but Jack Attack will claim that first one. And a very messy fight here as Fantix is still firing away. Wiffle is in trouble as Fantix looks to get aggressive, but the poke is maybe too much. Seb, he'll get tagged next. Fantix basically 1v3 right now as Jack does get tagged up as well. Cocoon will go wide. And that fight went a long way down this lane.
It definitely did. Direwolves looking to take initiative this time. They forced the Baron, but they also confine themselves into a very set area against the Gangplank Trundle and a Tahm Kench, who already had the flank and denied a lot of damage from those carries. Sharp was doing a lot of work. He had to flash and almost got Stealthix down, but Stealthix lives and lifesteals his way through it all. And again, Direwolves, they're close, but no cigar.
I feel like we've seen that twice now from Stealthix. We're going to get a replay.
Yeah, so the Gangplank ultimate is zoning two members of the Direwolves. Wiffle puts down the pillar as well to ensure that they are not even near the fight. Meanwhile, Sharp flashing back in on Stealthix, doesn't quite get the kill. In fact, misses his combo a little bit, and the pillar one more time. A big factor in these fights. Jack Attack has not actually activated his grey health once in any of these engages, and the Direwolves, they're poking down, they're working their way into the game, but they're not actually getting kills.
Yeah, they just can't close these team fights. I mean, they lost to carry early there in Sharp. That's, again, the second time I believe Stealthix has lived on barely any health. As Fantix has a pretty massive amount of CS there, 407, 200, but it's still not feeling like he can close these fights.
And 425 farm for Raze. They're farming really well. They can definitely last hit minions, but in terms of their macro level play, their decision making around the map, it's there, but it's not refined.
Yeah. Ooh. Sounds like Direwolves from last season in a lot of ways when they had King. Raze, a very hot young talent. from the challenger scene, but right now Dial's struggling a little bit. Infernum sort of running them around. And Dragon is back up in minute 50, but Baron's the real big fish to catch here. Spanix has the last whisper now as well. He's pretty much ready.
Yeah. He's massive.
He's been ready for a while, I feel like.
He has been. He's been ready for approximately 18 minutes, 54 seconds, you know? Give or take no time.
Oh, Whiffle. He's struggling. Ooh, very nice shift through that spear. They're going to keep chasing. Jack is pretty much unkillable, though. Sharp does catch one. No mid-beast or flash after using those oranges.
Whiffle's low.
They get a free summoner. Whiffle's low as well. Dial's going to start pressuring. They really want this Baron. That's the objective they've really set their eyes on.
And why is Corky recalling?
Package, I guess? I guess they're just clearing vision. Dial's not going to commit for it. Oh, Raze. Lucky to be alive.
But now they're committing to not doing the Baron. They've got the package and they want to win a fight with the package. When they had control of the Baron area, they could have forced the objective knowing that Whiffle wasn't going to be there. Gangplank has his ultimate though. Tomkens has just used his to go bot on a farm, but the teleport's there. I mean, Celtics has his as well, so they didn't actually burn a lot. They only got one member low, but
Starting
finally,
Baron. I mean, TPs are up, everyone can get here, but the Dials with no vision there for Infernum are burning down this Baron. Infernum, no idea this is going on. And that's a big drop of the ball there. That's a Baron taken by Braum, of all people.
And this, again, we were talking about it earlier, the fact that they've this time only got 2 of the blue trinkets. One of them is on their top laner, the other on cooldown. They have no ways to check without vision, without actually face checking and getting it down. Now, Infernum are running a poke composition, so if they ever face check anything, they die. Vision's the most important thing for them. They just lost the team fight. Direwolves commit to the Baron, and Infernum weren't able to reset the area around that Baron quick enough. They lose that basically for free.
Yeah, and that's rare to see a free Baron, but that's the reality here, as Dials might even sneak the Dragon in as well. You can see Infernum already double wards over the back there. Sybil on the way, but maybe caught here by Whiffle. Does get some vision down. They'll sweep this out as best they can. Dials are committing to this Dragon. They do not want Infernum to have the 5th. Spear is there, but Sybil comes in with a smite. Now the Wolves really going to look to turn the tide of this game. At this point, they have all the momentum. Start to push forward.
They have pretty much the game in their hands right now. It's not necessarily their game to lose, but they've got control as Seb.
Oh, Seb caught as well. Sybil dives straight in. Fantix over the top as well with the shift. Ulti out there, does get it, but Azani's is good. Kuden with the ulti mistimes it ever so slightly onto Seb and Whiffle, who will get caught out, but he's fairly tanky as Raze is way too far forward. Midbeast coming in, gets him with a crit. Fantix eats a spear. It's just so messy here.
They're trying to work around controlling that middle lane, and that's where basically Raze was. He's looking to cut them off. Sharp's working down the bottom lane at the exact same time, and the Direwolves, you're right. They feel scattered. Raze doesn't have enough lifesteal to deal with all this poke that he's currently being received. Needed to change his item build accordingly to deal with the Nidalee, to deal with the Gangplank and Illusion.
Well, Fantix again going to eat a spear, but he is pretty chunky. Does have full blood as well. Lord Dominic's Regard is completed, so even Jack Attack is not that safe from Ezreal. But you can see the wave clear there is good. Yeah, the cannons are firing away.
This is a cannon army. This is actually ridiculous.
Celtics going to continue to eat poke. They just can't clear this easily. Jack eats one. Throws him in. Oh, that'll clear him out. Rolls a strike.
Genocide. Cannon side.
Well, minions still moving in. Plenty of cannons left here. Raze eats more damage and forced the Valkyrie away. Kuden now going to block some of that poke. Raze trying to poke very aggressively there towards the front. Jack Attack going to eat him though. Raze in trouble but gets himself out. Boost of the mountain popped in and Jack's getting low. Sybil down there does pop his repel and Whiffle's going to slow down Kuden, who pops away to Fantix. Raze. Naughty boy almost got himself killed.
Naughty boy. Sieging against a poke comp never works unless you dive. They're running a Rise, they're running an Ezreal, and they're running a Corki. So their dive involves needing to have flashes available, ready to go, and actually just take them out. Now, they're playing against the Tahm-Kench, Gangplank, and a Trundle. So you can't dive this comp that is still a poke comp. They needed to work around a split push, have Sharp go into another lane, and just poke with what they have. And honestly, it becomes a delayed poke off. But Direwolves doing what they are now, they're just getting Raze killed over and over.
Well, almost killed at least. Hasn't died just yet, but it's gotten fairly close. Had to burn everything there to live, including support items.
Calm down.
He does need a little bit of chill, I would agree.
On his farming, on his positioning. You just, look, calm down, Raze, all right? It's getting ridiculous.
Big crit there in the mid lane as well. Midbeast massacring those minions. We didn't really talk about it, but he's got so much damage at this point.
Yeah.
Full CDR, Essence Reaver, IE, Trinity Force with a Dead Man's Plate. You can see those barrels doing work.
Towards a bit of armor as well in this build, where you have to consider Ezreal does do a lot of physical damage. Corki does a lot of physical damage as well, but they're a bit mixed.
Yep.
Like, it hurts a little bit in both directions, and he doesn't actually have any magic resistance to deal with that poke either. Dangerous game that Midbeast is playing by stacking one type of resistance. Somewhat effective, given you can eat oranges and be okay, though.
Yep. Does feel like very much a poke-style build here. The way he's building, trying to set up those barrels, but haven't seen a big barrel play just yet. They can certainly do some work, but Infernum are sort of just left setting up defensive vision here. Nice barrel, actually, in that brush. They're not going to check it. Little too dangerous here as Midbeast pops a barrel just to run himself away. And we're sort of back to square one, except this time Direwolves don't have Baron.
Yeah, there's a very dangerous proposition here for the Direwolves. They could take a Gangplank barrel at any time, and that would change the entire fight. The thing is, they have been quite vigilant around these Gangplank barrels. I haven't actually seen Midbeast try anything creative yet. He's just doing 2. And they're always dying because he's not placing them efficiently enough.
Yep, you can see back there, kind of warding off any dive. Once again, the dive threat here of the Direwolves team comp versus the Gangplank in particular, and even Tom Kent, is just not really there. So, I mean, there's no objectives, I guess, to play around the map with at this point, so might as well give this a go, but this is going to be a long haul for Direwolves to break this base, and that's been their biggest struggle, is just getting into the base.
If it's worth
Raze!
it, oh my god, Raze, you
Oh, he might die here. That's the Valkyrie out. They're coming out again as Sybil's going to block it, but this is the chance for Infernum to start fighting. Cuden going to pop the ulti, but the Pillar's going to knock up 2. Cuden going to be the first target there. They will spot Raze as Midbeast takes out 1. Barrel there for the speed up. Sybil going to get chased. Pillar's there as well. Can't repel down to that Krog. Got pulled away by Fantix, I think, but he does get out with a flash.
The spear almost connecting onto Sybil, and only one person goes down. Raze is low, Sybil's low. There's no dragon, there's no Baron for them to take. So Direwolves should be able to reset here.
Ooh, Seb. Fantix smells blood, but the rest of the teams there will not go in.
The Zonias was available for Seb as well, so very easily could have baited. As Raze, he's got the package. There's a very real chance that he just jumps into all of them, because, you know, that's just package things.
Yep. Actually didn't take that death. It was Cuden that died. He didn't die again.
No, he got out with his life. A lot of overshield.
What the hell he got back?
On the Direwolves side.
Yeah, well, certainly playing very aggressively is the young AD carry, but not getting punished just yet here. But like you mentioned, big objectives weren't up, so it wasn't a bad time to go absolutely ballistic, but he's going to maybe have to rein it in. Baron again, though, on the way. 20 to Dragon, 30 to Baron. And 47 minutes into this game almost.
Like, he's got so much farm, he may as well stop farming.
Yeah. You tell that to a young challenger AD carry, Rusty.
What's the record?
I don't know, but he's doing a good job here. 5:18 so far.
46 minutes. I feel like we've created like the Terminator of League of Legends. It was built for one purpose.
To farm.
To farm. A lot of his stuff has been mispositioning, but he farms damn well.
Certainly does. Whiffle maybe now caught as well, but he's going to eat some poke. Pretty tanky still, so he'll be okay for now. His Dial still looking for some traction around these objectives. They have the Scuttle Crab, but haven't swept that ward that's nicely placed just in front of their whole team. Barrels again being set up, but will get popped there by Midbeast. Dials don't have enough vision to force this. They need to force something, though, and Dragon is up.
Direwolves are controlling...
Race hitting Baron.
Yeah, they're doing it as 2 people. He's got a lot of lifesteal now as well, keep in mind. I believe he finished his last item. Direwolves, they're starting to force this in a very cheesy and cheeky
This is really
manner.
creative, but it's low. They do know the ulti's out. Has to get the Baron. Corki will secure it, but Cuden may be caught there. Jack attack going to go straight forward into it as the Ezreal ulti pops out. Jack is tanking so much damage. Grey health pop, and he's got a whole new lease on life. But the damage, it might not be enough. He will not die, but it gets awfully close as the poke there from Infernum keeps him safe.
Nobody dies ever in this game. It's just so hard to tip the balance because they're 2 poke comps with a lot of sustain. Direwolves, they get the Baron. The Dragon's about to be up. It's number 4 or 3 for each respective team.
Ooh, Fantix eats a spear, but again, not too much damage. Shop will TP out from base into mid lane. Direwolves are looking for a fight here. Just one team fight this late into the game. Could cause it. Sharp home guards his way forward, but aggro's the Dragon. Cuden pops in there.
Here we go again.
Jack attack back to full health. Going to try and eat Kuden perhaps.
Oh,
Gameplay
good
barrels good.
barrels.
Fantix aided. Whiffle on the side is taking trouble, but the tanks are just so massive here for Infernum. Raze goes a little too far forward. They want the dragon. They will get it by the looks of things as Rise takes it. Whiffle now in trouble off to the side.
Whiffle
Eats the
might be
cocoon.
dead.
That's bad news. Do take it out. Sharp gets it after a crit, and Stealthix pops the culling, but it's too late. The
Stealthix
Direwolves finally get their kill, and Raze has gone aggressively forward. Sybil is going to look to challenge, but hits a minion there with that cocoon. And Kuden, he's not done. The whole Direwolf squad are going to move in for it. Barrel is good. Fantix is forward. Sharp punches in. Stealthix barely lives. Mid-beast off to the side is low, but Raze takes him out. The Direwolves finally break them.
They actually get the kills that they were looking for. The Gangplank ultimate was not in a position to disengage at all. Jack Attack still here to defend, but they want this
Can't
turret.
defend this, and Jack's now too far forward. Sharp does have the snare up. Jack can't live through all of this damage. Greyhound not able to be popped. CC'd for too long, and Direwolves break the bottom side.
They finally break the base. They're going to have to recall, but they've got that Baron buff available to them. As 60 seconds is how long Jack Attack's going to be dead for. Level 18. We're going to see this fight again. The kegs were great. Jack Attack does eat the wrong target, you'd have to say, with Kuden. And Whiffle overextends here one more time because they want to steal the dragon. Rise connects with the stun, Sybil connects with the stun, and watch the crits that continuously come out of Raze. He hits people once, and they lose half of their health every single time. Direwolves, they're in such a commanding position from this fight, and honestly, even the Gangplank ultimate was not enough to save them. It was missed position. Infernum, they're going to be really stuck in this position.
You watch the replay, and it's crazy how long that fight went all the way down that bottom lane, but the Direwolves get what they want. They force a fight around Dragon after, I have to say, almost stealing that Baron out from under Infernum, and now in prime position to take what's been quite a marathon game number one.
The poke comp just isn't doing damage. The second Bloodthirsters are built. There's a Maw on the Ezreal. This should be Direwolves' game right now. They've got the Baron.
And you can see now they're starting to shake off a lot of that poke. Base tanking a lot more here. Gangplank ulti just for wave clear, really. And the 80 carry damage between Fantix and Raze. This might be a bit too much. Jack is tanking what he can, but bottom lane's a problem now. Mid lane's starting to get poked down as well. It's only a matter of time, you have to think. That's a massive wave in the bottom side.
It definitely is. That would be able to take a turret by itself, essentially. Raze
again! So far forward, but a good block of the culling there from Kuden. And the Direwolves, they just have to be patient, but it doesn't seem to be in their playbook.
There's honestly nothing that Infernum can really do. They're just trying their best to control the zone around the turret. The second Direwolves get a chance to break it, that could be an entire team fight that breaks out from it.
Huge wave top lane too by the looks of things. So Direwolves have all three lanes prepped. They've got a gold lead, but it doesn't really matter. This looks like it. Good pillar to really slow those minions down. They're getting so blocked by the poor pillar, and they just can't get in.
It's ridiculous.
This is ridiculous. Fantix, oh, he gets one hit. That's the tower. Now Jack in a surge forward. Sybil dives in onto him, and that's going to be the target. Kuden pumps the ulti out, and the front line is down for Infernum. They'll move in for this in here. 4v5. Infernum can't defend at all.
Not having Jack Attack is their big tank member missing. All that's left is Poke and Whiffle, who dies very quickly. Don't let the Trundle fool you. He is not tanky. Direwolves, they're looking to
that could be bad news. They are going to look in for it, but Seb pops his on. He's off to the side. Sharp going to juke around the culling. Is that Nexus turret will go down. Infernum looking to counter-attack here, but the damage just might be too much. All they have to do is Sky. They're going in for mid-beast now. He's going to get CC'd up there by Sybil. Sharp going to face take it. Seb will die without his Zonyas, and Direwolves keep getting pick after pick. Oh my god, Stealthix. Fantix in trouble too. One more hit might just do it. Gets exhausted, but the heals pop. Raze goes back in, gets the kill there onto the Gangplank for a killing spree. And the Direwolves, it's pretty chaotic, but it looks like they can end this game. Stealthix does do so much damage, but Kuden's going to block it out. Fantix wants it. They go in for Stealthix, gets crit again, but he'll barely live once more here. Whiffle is going to go down there on the Direwolves in 53 minutes. Will eke out game number one.
Absolute insanity from the Direwolves. They look so messy in their first game of the OPL, but Infernum, they had no answer to that team comp. And Jesus.
The mechanics are there. Let me tell you, between the mid and bottom lane, we talked about Fantix, formerly Perfection, being an exciting player. Talked about Raze being this really hot up-and-coming challenger AD carry. Looking good. But oh man, was it messy to get there.
That took a very long time. A lot of questionable decisions from Raze, but Sharp came up trumps and he was consistent in what they needed.
Well, it was a pretty long game there. We are going to get our experts' opinions to throw ourselves back to the analyst desk.
Wow, what a game. That was a nail-biter, and you have to say that even though Direwolves in the end ran over the top of Infernum, that was a very good start to the map for what is a very young team in Infernum.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm looking at Seb here as well. Minky, well, let us know. I mean, is this guy vocal? When you played with him on your side, is this someone that we should be looking at here? Because his early game was fantastic.
Yeah, Seb was always, the talker. He leads the team, tells them what to do. I really feel like he focused a lot on farming in the early game, and he got pretty far ahead. Once the dragon fight happened, he pretty much catapulted his team forward. They just couldn't capitalize, unfortunately.
Yeah, so let's take a look at Seb's early game. I mean, he cleared the full of the jungle with only 3 potions. So he puts the whole jungle on rotation without a leash. He gets a 6 minute 40 level 6, which you're expecting about 7 minutes 20 to 7 minutes 40 around there when you're picking up your second buff. And then he goes to dragon fight, which I believe we have a replay for you guys, and just grabs a double kill, secures the dragon over the wall. This guy did it all in the early game.
Yeah, he was really carrying them through, and I'm really looking for Seb to get this team moving forward. I mean, that game, this is, of course, a best of 3. So the Infernum now have an opportunity to look at that game, understand that it was the early game that they really had under control. They've just got to work out finding a way to get themselves into a closing position because they just couldn't break the Direwolves, and it seemed like they were just laning too well. I mean, Fantix, he was ahead in farm. He was denying barrels all over the place. He managed to take his turret on his own at around the 25-minute mark, really doing fantastic things on this Ezreal. They couldn't stop him. This is after throwing 3 bans at the dude.
Yeah, it certainly was, but we do have the replay, guys, so we're going to pull it off for you here. So, Mickey, take us through this one, because you were talking about how good his target selection is during this little skirmish.
Yeah, so it starts off with Seb jumping over the wall, spearing the Braum and taking the dragon. He then goes on to pick off the Elise.
Yeah, so the really incredible thing there is the fact that he's able to grab the dragon and the Braum kill at the exact same time. So, credit to that guy. But now let's go towards the mid lane because, you were just about to hit on it, Atlas. Fantix, he itemizes very well. Minky, what's it like playing against the blue Ezreal, especially when someone like Perfection, now Fantix, is jumping around the rift on it?
Yeah, it's really annoying. Like, you can't really get in because, he has so many escapes and he's just, the best poker. When he gets the... what's it called?
Iceborne Gauntlet?
The Iceborne Gauntlet, yeah. Yep. You just can't get close to him. So I think Gangplank had a huge disadvantage that lane. He did claw back, though, in terms of farm and gold. Perfection was too good, I guess. Yeah,
Midbeast just couldn't get it going early. The last guy that I really want to look towards for maybe the step up out of Infernum, never thought I would say it, but Jack Attack on that Tahm Kench. What the heck is going on?
I know, right? Managed to get a solo almost on Sharp there in the top lane. Had to jump underneath the turret, picked up the kill as, of course, Fantix did end up managing to get up to that top lane to try and secure him, but Jack Attack is playing a whole lot more aggressively than what we're used to, and he was almost unkillable towards the end of that game. That Grey Health was unable to be popped in that last team fight, which is really what turned that one around, but he was waiting until the last second. His Tahm Kench play was fantastic.
Yeah, it certainly was, but of course, guys, that is only game 1. We're going to throw to a quick break, but don't touch that browser because we'll be back with game 2 in just a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the OPL, where Infernum is taking on the Direwolves. Of course, Direwolves just managed to grab a Game 1 victory in what was a very grueling, I guess, slow-paced game after what was a kind of quick start from Infernum. That was all over the place. Minky, what are you looking at for Infernum of turning this one around?
Yeah, so Infernum, just a bit inexperienced that game. I really feel like when they were ahead, they needed to capitalize a lot more. They needed to play more around vision and play more around the objectives. They kind of reacted to every time Direwolves came. They would either come and try to steal it or, come and try to contest, but they were never there first. So I really feel like when they're ahead, they need to kind of jump on it.
So proactive League of Legends, get ahead, then start trying to brawl. There was, of course, a lot of close team fights, but not many people going down. Max, you talk about Fantix. Is he the guy that's going to win this series for the Direwolves, or where are we looking?
Well, it's definitely looking to be that's what Infernum thinks, right? First, they throw 3 bans at Fantix, so they get rid of his Yasuo, his Twisted Fate, and can't quite remember. Kassadin was his final one. And then they first picked away the Gangplank, right? So Fantix, without 4 champions, the thing is, we know this guy is having this endless champion pool. Just ban the really, really strong champions. Sharp, of course, formerly a mid laner, so he can play the Ryze, he can play the Gangplank. All of these sort of flex picks that they like putting into that top lane. We haven't even mentioned the Lissandra, which was untouched that last time round as well. There are a whole lot of options for this team, and maybe they need to get rid of the power picks as opposed to just singling out Fantix, who's always going to be able to get a champion he can play.
Yeah, and it certainly looked like they were maybe even a little bit nervous after that first game. So hopefully they've calmed down a little bit, looking towards their bottom lane to get some more work done, because Stealthix really was starting to peak towards that late game. Do you think he's the guy that's going to be able to, I guess, get Infernum in a winning position?
Yeah, I feel like in terms of the teams, the difference between the bot lanes is quite minimal. So if Infernum kind of capitalize on the bot lane scenario, bully out Ray, he wasn't playing as good as the rest of his team. Maybe they can kind of force a win from that.
Yeah, that was kind of weird with Raze. He was, as Rusty said, he was prioritizing farm very hard to the point where he would be up in the front line, kind of tanking up a lot of these damage, and was getting picked on a little bit. Of course, we heard from these guys that they thought that maybe Direwolves would finish top 4 and Legacy would finish the first, but we want to hear from you guys as home as well. So jump on Twitter, use that hashtag IamOPL, and let us know who you think will actually be able to win Split 1. As I said, I'm really tossed up for this one. Chiefs, of course, took that big hit. Legacy obviously looked fantastic. Hallion's coming across. We've heard some good and very bad things about this team, so we'll see whether even someone new like Trinit can sneak in there and take it away. But this match in particular, now 1-0, it's the first best of 3 that we've seen in a regular season for the OPL split. Is it hard to make those mid-map adjustments, or do you think this is something that teams will find relatively easy after the scrim practice?
I think coming in to, just start of the season, everyone's kind of, rusty, so to speak. It might be a little bit hard for them to make those adjustments. Maybe towards the end of the season, they might be more used to it, and we'll start to see more changes then. I really feel like Infernum will stick to the style that they were playing and maybe try to, play a little bit better.
So a little bit more of an elongated game as we saw that time, but just try and capitalize on the mistakes that we saw that Direwolves were making around the Rift. And, just got to hit it on one more time. Raze and Sharp, like Fantix in the mid lane and Sybil have always been the strong points, but it looks like Sharp and Raze are still prone to make these mistakes that can cost them games.
Yeah, honestly, Raze looked like a liability towards the end of that game. I'm going to say it right now because he was so far forward, almost got picked out multiple times there on the Corki, had to use the defensive Valkyries, had to make sure he was getting out of there, and Infernum were just slightly too slow on capitalizing on this and jumping on it. We've mentioned that already. I have a feeling that they're going to have a chat to their support staff. They're going to understand that, hey, we were ahead for a lot of this game. If we had have made the proactive play, we could have possibly got something done here, and they're going to realize that they'll have to do it next time around. And if Raze makes those mistakes again, I have a feeling he's going to get punished.
Yeah, it certainly looked like, the double AD comp. It's one of those comps that is very hard to execute on because you don't have that tanky front line, especially if you have a mage in the top lane playing against something like Tom Kench, which, Minky, I believe you brought into the OPL scene.
Yeah,
can get you caught out of position quite often.
Yeah, one season too late, unfortunately. I really feel like they could have used the Tom Kench ulti a lot more aggressively to make picks. I mean, Ryze at top lane doesn't have very, very many escapes. So, Tom Kench and Nidalee could have pretty much bullied him a bit more, put a bit more pressure in the split push lane. So coming to next game, hopefully we can get some of those.
Yeah, we even said late game there was maybe some opportunities to use that a little bit more aggressively. But guys, we are ready to get into game 2. So I'm going to throw it over to the casters to get us onto the Rift.
Thank you once again as we are going to get ourselves into game number 2. We talked about it, Rusty. Long game to kick things off here.
Yeah.
So then best of 3, of course, we could go the distance. So maybe at home, grab your popcorn and your drink because we could be here for a while.
I will tell you that the first draft was too hard to keep up with.
True.
I couldn't actually get
it started
words
so
out.
quickly.
And then it started to gradually slow down until we had a poke-off between both of these teams. So wouldn't be surprised if Infernum, again, continue with that same style. We know the Direwolves can be a lot more versatile in their drafting, and a lot of it just comes down to what do Infernum actually want to ban. Direwolves are the first pick this time.
Yep, we are going to swap things around, of course. Things have slowed down just a tad from our last draft, but Tom Kent's going to be banned away. I do like that pick away from Jack Attack, and Cassidy actually banned there as well, which we might just see the same 3 Infernum bans. Just take out the Fantix champion pool.
That's probably what it will be again. The Twisted Fate, the Cassidy, or the Fantix special. The Yasuo is the new addition that we haven't actually seen a lot of bans away from him yet. But if they continue along that train of thought, Rise is up, Gangplank will still be up again, and these are champions that I honestly don't think you give the Direwolves above the Cassidy and the Twisted Fate, solely because they can be flexed.
Yeah, the GP could be the big one there as well, if it's let through. So Kindred banned, Gangplank will get banned, so clearly Infernum have the same ideas here as well. As Direwolves are considering their final ban here. 20 seconds left, but they're going to go with, again, pretty standard ban here. Dr. Mundo taken away.
Getting rid of the tanks, of course. Jack a Tank, very good at playing those champions, so don't let him have it.
So we do have TF open, but most of the times we saw Direwolves draft Twisted Fate last season, they drafted it quite late. Yeah, because blind picking TF as your first pick is quite dangerous.
What they do know is the options available, so they can actually mind game it. They know Direwolves, they want to pick Twisted Fate if it's available. Infernum may just pick to counter the Twisted Fate, and remember, Rise is still there.
Yep, the Rise, of course, available. Plenty of good picks, actually, and even Trundle, which saw decent play there from Whiffle in the support position, which would be another nice pick, and even a pick away from Jack Attack, potentially. It was banned by Direwolves. No, it wasn't, because Whiffle picked it. Never mind. It bans others' tanks. Sometimes it's hard. But at least hovering the Trundle to start things off. Thanks, buddy. And there we go. It's locked in.
All right, so they lock away the Trundle. Malphite is something that I'm going to say is mostly oceanic in feel, so that's an interesting decision.
And there it is. Malphite Elise.
Yeah. I mean,
it is the Jack Attack special.
Okay, it's entirely the Jack Attack special, but you're picking a big tanky champion first. Malphite, I'm not going to say has direct counters, but you can mix up the damage in your team comp so that Malphite can't stack armor against you. If you force him to build magic resistance in laning phase, then in the mid game, he might not have enough statistics to deal with the rest of the team. And he is a one and done style of champion. Very difficult to do anything if the ultimate doesn't connect.
Yeah, we saw this, Tom Kent from the last game. Very hard to kill, but not impossible. Malphite feels a whole lot squishier than Tom Kent, so we'll see how that one works out here. So we're going to look at Ezreal, actually. Again, it's locked in. There's Lulu to follow, so very open draft to start things off for the Direwolves.
Yeah, the Lulu is another champion that has gone unnoticed in the first game. Of course, Fantix shows that he can play the Ezreal if need be. Sharp was a mid laner before he was a top laner, so Lulu always going to be on the agenda for him, and Kuden can definitely play that Trundle. So a lot of versatility, as you mentioned here, for the Direwolves. And really, their next part of their draft is just going to be cementing the team comp that they actually want, because Infernum just target Fantix.
Yeah, I mean, that's three bans away. We saw a pick away on blue side as well for their first pick, so we have potentially already the Ezreal for Fantix, but can, of course, go for the Twisted Fate if they want. If Infernum want to take it, they probably have to take it here, but with so much flexible drafting on the blue side, it's a little dangerous, but they'll stick to their guns. Alistar Lucian, so still think it's going to go back to that AD carry.
I do like the Alistar pickup this time, though. It gives a very big natural front line to complement Jack Attack, whereas it felt like Whiffle on the Trundle was he was tanky, but he never actually got through the beginning of a team fight, never actually survived the initial brunt without just running away.
We'll have to crack a smile there, because I do like these hovers at least. Sybil is, apart from an aggressive jungler, a very well-known Zac player. And of course, Zac's been seeing some play here and there. As I think they're having a bit of fun right now.
Oh, no. This is the Fiddlesticks patch, remember?
Oh, no.
They've given
Can you
him the new
imagine?
jungle item. Doesn't need a sheen. The dream, boys.
The dream. Fiddle dream. We'll see. Rise, of course, still available as well. So plenty of options here, really, for the Direwolves. Flashing a couple mid-picks, so it could be Ezreal there for Raze. But we'll give them a little bit more time. 10 seconds left for them to decide how they want to finish off this draft. And of course, Infernum will have a counter pick here as well.
Basically anything that does damage will be a very nice way to complement, unless they want to complement the damage they already have. Yeah,
nice
just taunting us.
Yeah.
Lots of taunts.
Bit of fun there, but it is going to be Zac and Twisted Fate locked in. Like we said, the Wolves do tend to pick TF late, but they've set it up quite well here. That will leave Raze on Ezreal, of course, but he should be just fine there.
Definitely will. Of course, Ray's a very competent AD carry, has played a fair bit of Ezreal. Sybil on Zac is the one thing that I really like at the moment from this Direwolves side. He was the Zac guy before it was even popular.
He's definitely even played it last year, I believe, in the OPL. So plenty of plays on the champion, both in solo queue and in the OPL. And last pick, Ari, actually, from mid base. He probably expected Twisted Fate.
Yeah.
Had the Ari prepared.
Yep, so red side, they do get the last pick. It may have been a little bit of a struggle, not knowing who you were going to be against when you're on blue side. Direwolves can flex whatever they want. They did it again, but they have to show their hand before Infernum get that last option. Choosing the Ari into the Twisted Fate is a big sign of confidence from mid-beast that shows that he wants to be able to kill Fantix in laning phase, or at least keep him in lane so that he can't use that ultimate and go around the map everywhere.
Yeah, definitely a lane where as Ari you get initiative, but like you're seeing with every Twisted Fate, you can't keep him down either by killing him or just suppressing him in that lane. Fantix especially will run absolutely wild around the map, with Zac especially to back him up. That gank power, both in mid lane and in other lanes between Sybil and Fantix, we've seen the synergy before. That's potentially very scary.
Well, he's shown multiple times, Fantix, even if he's losing his lane, he still roams effectively, goes for the 40% CDR type of Twisted Fate. And one thing to note is, of course, the Twin Ghost, the Spooky Ghost, you know, Frost Queen's claim. It's going to be very good right now on Twisted Fate because it makes killing people, catching people, and successfully using your ultimate a lot easier to do.
Certainly does. You thought it was bad enough when you got on top of your face with a gold card. Ghosts will follow soon after, potentially. We see the two team comps lined up as we have swap sides. Don't forget your hashtags DW in for the Direwolves or INF win for Infernum. Let us know on Twitter who you are cheering for. But very soon we'll be getting ourselves onto the roof for our second game. We'll see if Direwolves can tie things up here with a clean sweep, or if Infernum can push us to game number 3.
And of course, Direwolves, one more time, even though there was a lot of targeted bans, still have put together a very strong team composition. They've got Zac to engage very heavily.
And with that, we are going to get a little word from mid-base and see how he feels about his opponent here.
Fantix is one of the best, if not the best mid laner in OS, I think. His mechanics are just on point, always on point, and he knows what to do. His split push is just incredible, but, you know, if I get good jungle pressure and we, you know, focus the mid lane, we can definitely take them down, and, yeah, they'll be a top team.
Well, talk about good jungle pressure. 5-man invade from Infernum just to make sure it all starts off on the right foot, but nothing going wrong there, as we do hear from mid-beast. Clearly respectful of such a good mid laner here. Also just an invade for vision, though, for Infernum. So no fireworks just yet here at level 1.
No, the standard big group up, of course. They've got an Alistar, so their level 1 is quite strong. If need be, Seb can go Cocoon. And again, if need be, mid-beast can go for that Charm. So the pick potential as a 5-man is nearly unrivaled. Direwolves again. They're going to group up and probably start, looks like the red buff this time for Sybil. He doesn't want anything taken away from the top side of his own jungle.
Yep, smart to start on the unwatered side, but that is going to give information, of course, over to Infernum, as we are going to start with standard lanes once again. Looks like Sharp's already in the top lane hanging out. Kuden and Ray's going to take these Krugs. And Sybil solo, actually, is going to move through this red buff. It should be just fine here on Zac.
Yeah, so the Zac jungle, starting with the W, you actually get quite a chunk of your health back, and he's going to be able to smite that, take it away for himself. I'm going to call it an aggressive decision. He doesn't need the help of the Lulu to take them down, but if you got the help, just start on that blue buff, you'd be perfectly fine. What it says to me is he's looking to gank around level 3.
Yep, could be going for something pretty sneaky here, as we do move Raze and Kuden down into the bottom lane. Look at these young players having a giggle there.
Right.
I don't know. Saw some of his play last game.
I don't think he'd be laughing about it.
No.
Let's be fair.
Fantix and mid-beast, of course, facing up against each other. The legendary Twisted Fate here is, this is maybe what we thought. Nope, never mind. Thought he was going for something extra cheeky.
He's got his passive, so don't always think that a Zac is that low and that means that he will die. He's very good at baiting smaller skirmishes, and 2v2s generally always favor the Zac, just because he has a second life, and they need to change their focus to the bloblets opposed to the second person that will be evidently hitting them. So he's good in skirmishes, good in 2v2s, everything up to 5v5 Zac will probably excel in, and as long as the team can work around him. In saying that, he had about 30% health and probably shouldn't be getting free bloblets on the map.
Well, hanging out there at the Wolves. He's going to start blue buff now as well, but does have his smite back and ready to go. Seb, though, flying through the jungle, nice and healthy as Elise. Going to take out this blue. And maybe look for a gank down the bottom lane. Could just be consolidating into that Rift Scuttler as well. But action down the bottom already. He's coming down.
He's already pinged that he wanted to go there. And of course, the Direwolves are playing aggressive and he can't make his mind up.
Yep.
Is it gankable?
Maybe worrying about wards there, but we know there aren't any. Infernum Blending onto some vision. We'll spot Seb now, actually, as that ward barely dissipates. I don't know if Direwolves actually caught him there. This could be a very nice gank. Yeah.
So they may or may not know. He's worked his way towards the tri-bush potentially in the bottom lane if he chooses to gank.
And Kuden just left.
This could very well work right now for Infernum.
I mean, look, Whiffle going in.
There
Is
it
it
is.
going to move in for the combo? Just going to move him back. Good pillar there as Raze forced to move out of there. Exhausted down, but here comes Elise right around the side. Seb moves in, but Celtics is low. First blood goes to Trundle, and now Whiffle going to start chasing, but Raze needs to try and get out of there. Thunderlords will proc. He's probably got no hope as Seb and the Spiderlings will take him down.
But the Direwolves, they get the first kill for themselves in what was going to be a 2 versus 3 scenario. Zach, in the meantime, he's split his attention somewhere else. The stun's in.
Ignite pressure. Good flash there. Oh, Sybil will go short. Mid-beast had to sort of guess that, and he does do well.
A good flash from Mid-beast at the exact same time as the stun connected. We're going to see that bottom fight again while we're going through this game. And honestly, the exhaust was the MVP here from Kuden. Uses the Q. The flash cocoon was never going to be enough to actually get in range.
Nice summon usage there for Raze.
Exactly
He's
right.
Unfortunately dead at this point. Spiderlings and Red Buff help chase him down.
They're fast, those Spiderlings.
Certainly are. There's Sharp pushing Jack attack in. Range versus melee. Sort of expect this. Jack just going to have to take his lumps early.
Yeah.
And then come back with some nice resistance. Fantix shoves his wave in. 15 tiers ahead as Midbeast comes in to catch up. Double Durans there for the Ari. I wonder where Fantix will go for that first item. It is going to be a catalyst to the very popular Rod of Ages Twisted Fate they started seeing in TF builds around the world.
Yep, going towards that Rod of Ages. Of course, Ari on the flip side, you would hope goes towards the Spooky Ghost, but they've been nerfed a little bit on 6.1. A little bit less efficient with that mana regeneration, so might opt towards the Morellos, get that 10% extra CDR as well, maintain the pressure and control in that middle lane, because Fantix, when he goes for the Rod of Ages on Twisted Fate, takes a while to scale.
Certainly does. As you can see, Sybil down the bottom is on a wall, but I have a feeling he knows. They're just sort of being annoying here. Raze has actually kept this wave pretty far down this lane, so Stealthix getting denied a bit, actually 10 CS down at this point. So nice play here from the Direwolves bottom lane.
Believe it or not, Zach just jumped over the vision in that bush by going over the Dragon Pit with his elastic slingshot. Hasn't been spotted where he is right now.
Well, he's all the way back around the mid lane here. Oh, looks for the Wolves.
No jungle.
Pops his W. Yeah, there are no camps to take.
The thing with this, though, Zach is staying at level 4 for quite some time. Level 5 is a very big power spike for Zach because his ganking capabilities increase about 10-fold. The jump range is just unbelievably high.
Yep, every level of slingshot really does matter.
He wants this mid.
He really does. I mean, they know Midbeast has no flash. But this just might be a bit too aggressive. Wave needs to hold here. It's going to push back a bit. The gold card's activated, but can't go in, and Sybil is going to look to complete that recall. Midbeast level 6 now as well. It's just too hard.
But again, time wasted from Sybil is time that Seb is farming on the flip side. It's only a 3 CS lead, but it is an entire level, and potentially then some at this point in time. Seb needs to be able to make it work, though, otherwise it won't be paying dividends, all this farming.
It will not. And Sybil going to see if he can go back to his jungle and start playing catch up a bit. Tier up for Raze now as well. Double Doran's actually for Stealthix in the bottom lane, so they've got the CS lead, but combat stats not really there at this point for Ezreal, who should be going for that blue build once again, just like we saw Fantix do in the mid lane on the champion in game number 1.
And again, I'm going to keep saying that Seb needs to do something. The onus is entirely on him to make these ganks work. Clearing some vision now is a good first step. They've got 2 pinks around that middle lane, so you know where they're focusing their vision. Fantix is always going to be able to focus other lanes with that vision, though. So Seb, if he doesn't make something happen, all 3 lanes are organically losing at the moment. They're just sitting there, getting bullied out, losing in farm. You can see it across the board. Bottom lane, mid lane, and top.
Yep, and Fantix now actually has enough space to clear that ward out. Seb is coming in, though. Fantix has to be careful, needs to dodge the charm. Good stun there, but he does get charmed up as well. Might have to flash out a Sybil's here, but I think it's a little late. Fantix does go down as the Ignite, and Seb will be able to finish him off. But I'm not sure the Elise can get out of this one. Doesn't have a flash, moves into Spiderling. Ozreal is good, Raze collects it.
Raze getting the kill as well, of all people. That is going to be bad news for Infernum. In saying that, a fantastic charm out of Midbeast. They do get Fantix. Fantix not having flash available anymore means repeat offenders in this middle lane could work out for Infernum.
Yep, see Raze playing pretty far forward. Does get comboed. Stealthix going to move in, but a nice pillar. Going to interrupt some of that. Does take the damage though. Kuden starts chomping on Alistar. Probably pretty tasty.
I'm going to say that wasn't very efficient trading from Stealthix. Basically granted that kill right, or not the kill, the out trade right there, but opts into just doing a bit of damage. And honestly, that was about 30% of Elise's health.
Yeah, Ezreal ulti, when it doesn't touch anything but one person, does quite a lot of single target damage. So
It's also with just a tier, to be fair.
yeah, I'm impressed. Raze with a pinpoint accuracy cleans Seb off the rift, at least for now. He's back, of course, farming up towards that top side on the red buff. And just having a quick look. Pretty early items here for top lane. Seems that we are in a farm fest, which is to be expected. Sharp again, getting a small edge here in the lane, but relatively even as Rod of Ages not quite there for Fantix. Seems like Abyssal up for Mid Beast as well. So really respecting a lot of the early game damage here.
I mean, yeah, Mid Beast working towards that Abyssal Scepter will still have a lot of pressure in this lane. No spike to be seen from Fantix until the Rod of Ages is done. And even then, it does become efficient with Rod of Ages, but becomes so much more efficient the longer the game goes and starts stacking. Until such a point where I would actually say Fantix is able to fight Mid Beast, honestly, I don't think it will exist because it's going to take so long to get the spike.
Looks like everyone just farming up for now. Fantix does have his blue buff, but just going to use that to farm for the most part here. Direwolves have repinked the left-hand side as well, so we have pretty big power struggle for vision. As Kuden does spot the blue buff. In fact, they're going to take it. Sees a pink wall though, so Infernum know exactly what's happening. Kuden though, just going to get in there and take it. And this is a very nice play. Could be dangerous. Raze really wants this blue. Oh no, it reset. That is not like a good time. Not like this. But I mean, Infernum aren't coming. They're just way too scared of the Twisted Fate ulti, and Raze does get it. A steal literally out from in front of them.
Yeah, and basically, Wiffle watched it happen. Lucian, Celtics decided he didn't want anything to do with it. Instead, he wants to continue to farm, but he's basically sitting under his turret. Sybil's working out of vision.
Oh, Fantix in trouble. Does Duke the Charm, though. Now going to have to go back in, but he doesn't get the stun card, and Mid Beast collects him.
And this is it, one more time. Repeat offenders in the middle lane. Seb should be focusing Fantix. Mid Beast even said it himself in that snippet that he thinks that they can win if they focus him with that jungle control.
Yep, and there's a good bit of pressure from Seb. Perhaps a little late as the Rod of Ages is up for Fantix, but it's like step in the right direction here for Mid Beast, who's going to catch up a bit in CS as well and collect a nice refresh on the blue buff because Raze stole his.
Well, look, Mid Beast in a much better position this time, actually getting the kill himself as well, so starting to get some gold back in his favor. In fact, you would wager he's almost a little bit ahead now. Doing well, this Infernum middle laner. In saying that, the rest of the team, not so much.
No, still a bit behind in mid, but that's, I think, mostly Twisted Fate passive and Immaculate CSing helping out there. Raze down the bottom, by the way. Happily bullying 1v2.
Yeah.
Wiffle's going on some ways in a mission, actually, in the mid lane. But with Sybil behind him, Raze pretty confident. There's a ton of vision around this bottom side. Raze just playing very aggressively, much like we saw in Game 1.
Yeah, he's got the blue buff, so he's actually quite comfortable using only his Q to trade because Lucian will never be in range if it's only the Q range being used by the Ezreal. So smart play here from Direwolves bottom lane, or I guess the 1v2 in the Direwolves bottom lane. But Sybil's holding his hand just from, really far away because that's what a Zac can do.
It is, and we see level 7 Zac now, so Sybil getting towards that max elastic slingshot range. Haven't seen any pressure just yet here from the gank, but just going to keep farming up. He's got the Cinderhulk completed, so nice and tanky early on. A Sharp is going to go for that Frost Queen's claim. So we are going to see at least one here to help chase down potential Infernum members. But I think the biggest thing, you mentioned this in the pregame, is that Fantix has not had a chance to ulti yet.
No, he hasn't had a chance to ulti. Mid Beast is always, whether he's winning or losing the lane, he's positioning himself offensively enough or close enough to the Twisted Fate that there's no actual chance of a roam. Wiffle Sticks is here with Seb this time. It's very hard to get the minions to the turret.
Here comes the squad. Mid Beast goes in for it. Teleport's going to come down as well. Fantix gets combo charmed in there as well and blown up as that TP even got cancelled.
Sharp cancelling it himself, of course. The Sybil's found Seb.
Well, Kuden's here as well. 2v3 with a support and jungler as Raze is also coming in. Wiffle still has his ultimate, so he's probably not too fussed about this. And this is the pressure we were talking about. Raze will clear out the wave and do damage. Goes in very deep over the wall. So he'll keep the turret up, but this is bad news. There's Sharp now onto Jack attack. The slows it there. Jack's forced to burn the ulti. Sharp will not follow with his flash. You can see Lulu now starting to get traction in this lane as well.
And that's against the magic resistance that's been built from Jack attack as well. So not too bad here from Sharp in this top lane. Starting to build some pressure as well. I mean, Direwolves, they just aren't helping Fantix. Like, top lane, he's doing okay. He doesn't have the teleport anymore. Ezreal's just using the ult to consolidate losses. But Sybil's focusing near Raze, and Kuden, honestly, I haven't even seen him on this map until Fantix dies, in which case he just walks mid and takes the farm.
It was a nice roam, certainly, from Infernum, but they're not protecting their key player here, our Direwolves. Midbeast starting to get a bit of an edge. Actually is going for Frost Queens as well, as the Frost Ring built up now after that Abyssal.
Rift Herald's being done as well as the Dragon, I believe.
All right, so a trade here. Herald for the Dragon. Looks like it might be going to Sharp, although Jack does spot it. No sweeper up to try and clear that out, but the Herald's done. And he is going to go to Sharp, so that's going to be problems mounting there for Jack, although they do trade as Infernum will pick up the Dragon.
Yeah, no ultimate available for Jack Attack as well, so not just trouble, some serious issues are about to mount in that top lane. Direwolves don't even need to go near there, honestly. Sybil one more time needs to try and either just force the ultimate out of Ahri to prevent a lot of pressure in this middle lane. Let Twisted Fate roam. At least the Twisted Fate does scale with items.
Well, there you go, Sharp again. A little low in mana, unfortunately. But he's going to clear out the pink that he finds. Jack's going to try and stop him, actually, maybe. Not the best idea here from Sharp. Doesn't even get the last auto, and Jack's just going in. Doesn't have an ulti. Pings for help. Sybil is in the area, but low on mana. Sharp actually can't win those trades.
No. He's going too hard to get a pink ward. He needs to recall. Doesn't actually have his teleport to go back to that lane either, so not effective use of the Rift Herald, I will say. Potentially could have been better used on Sybil. In saying that, if we can keep Jack attacking that top lane, maybe force the ultimate one more time, we'll call it a slight win for Infernum.
Well, Stealthic's still working on his first item, but Ezreal, of course, finished his. Nice and cheap is the old Iceborne Gauntlet. Does have it completed now, building in towards that Mirror Mana once again. Ray's still down here on his own, just kind of sneaking around in this bush.
He's just, positioning-wise, Raze really doesn't care.
No, I feel like Whiffle's just, Kudensor has just left him alone. Ghosts do get popped, looking for a jungler, but not going to find it.
Seb's not even close.
Yeah, good info, but Ghost goes a long way to realize that there's nothing there. Kuden going to slap down a ward as Whiffle and Seb are waiting here. Kuden does spot one. Sybil actually going for it, but he gets interrupted. Now Midby's going to come in, does not pop the ulti though. Infernum starting to apply a little bit more pressure towards this Dragon area.
Good work from Whiffle Sticks though to be able to stop the Zac engage. Very good. Negates any kind of action that Infernum may not want to be a part of. I will say though, the Jack attack is in a very threatening position to use that ultimate if he can just get out of this laning phase, but Sharpie got the recall in, and this is exactly what should be happening in this top lane.
Corrupting Potion Lulu, pretty annoying.
Oh yeah.
Sharp still continuing to farm up a storm. Jack's kept the CS quite close actually, so not doing too badly here as he goes back and collects a few more components. Just wants to be nice and tanky early on. But we could see another big scaling combo for Direwolves. I think Sharp is going for a Rod of Ages himself. And much like the tier roll build from game 1 between the Ryze and the Ezreal, could take a while to stack things up. The 20-minute, 25-minute special from Direwolves here again. Sharp does get tower top though.
If the pressure continues from Sharp, then they're going to draw Seb here naturally, as you're about to see. Very hard to kill someone with a Frost Queen's Claim, though, because if he doesn't have vision and is pushed, he will just press the button and see if you're nearby.
Oh, Jack attack. He's going to slap down these minions. Did lose his tower, so...
What a loud skin as well. Really makes you known. Makes it known when he slaps a minion.
Well, there's Malphite. He's a mountainous champion. I would hope his presence was known.
Funnily enough, the same size as Brand
yes,
in game.
Which, and Zac. I think Zac's taller, actually.
Well, Zac's like a candy mountain with this skin.
Bandic's now looking for a roam, actually. Could actually see our first Twisted Fate ultimate of the game.
It actually looks like he's walking.
Yeah, he is. Walking top. Did he get spotted by a ghost? I think he might have got tagged. Now Sybil actually going to find Seb. They're going for the stun. Damage is good. Ignite is there, and that should be enough. But Midbeast going to go back in for it. Sharp's here as well, though. Did TP in. The Wild Growth pop. The Polymorph there. The stun will land into Sharp. Going to collect himself the kill.
Without using Fantix's Twisted Fate ultimate, they catch people out of position. Very good pink ward placement from the Direwolves deep inside the Infernum jungle. And they find themselves with an opportunity to push maybe. Jack does have his Malphite ultimate, but Whiffle's here as well. Yep,
Fantix did go back. He's got an Abyssal Scepter now, actually, so continuing to get pretty aggressive with the item builds. You see this again. This is just a big face check from Seb and a great rotation from the Direwolves.
Yeah, definitely was. Fantix being able to combo the stun with Sybil was great, but of course, don't take your attention away from the top third of the map because there's some aggression right there.
Yeah, saw a Flash Force there on the top side, but Kuden and Sybil getting aggressive on the Stealthix, who will not have that summoner. That's pretty key. We've got Dragon and Baron both spawning in a minute 30. And Dial's just starting to group for these turrets. 3 members strong. Should be able to get this one at least.
Whiffle's threatening on the outside here. They may want an engage.
Well, they are going to get it, I think. Seb's trying to chase them off it. Sybil does need one more slap, knocks up. That's actually a little late. Now he's in trouble with the Bloblets are coming. Bandic's now going to join in on Twisted Fate. And the stun's there. Kuden, he needs it, but they can't get it in. Jack finds the 2 carries out with the ulti, and the exhaust is down onto Twisted Fate. He'll keep moving. Sybil's still not out, but he will flash to safety onto a Bloblet, I think. Now Midbeast could be in trouble, but Whiffle's going to move back in. Raze will get blown up as Stealthix returns. And Whiffle will get stunned up, but can they catch more? Kuden low on mana. Fantix out of summoners. They will not chase, but messy again from the Direwolves.
Definitely messy. They didn't help Sybil to take down that turret. Very bad calculations from the Direwolves side in saying that Sybil miraculously gets out with his life. I have no idea how he managed to do that, because look at Kuden. He should just come and hit the turret once maybe for his teammate. Twisted Fate comes in. Look, Kuden really wants to. He really wants to, but he's not going to, as their attention was changed towards the rest of the Direwolves side. They do well in that regard to force the attention back onto them. But again, a big oversight as Raze, he pays for that. The rest of them do just get out.
Yeah, used his healed actually to save Sybil, but did not get away with his own life. As Dragon and Baron are both up nice and soon. We do see a couple items being finished. Whiffle going to combo Kuden just to push him out of the area. Seb's going to get himself the Scuttle Crab. And Dragon is going to be our next point of contention. Drag attack top lane, no ulti, but does have his TP. Sharp actually no TP, so the Direwolves going to struggle to contest here.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they do contest this one as Whiffle and Kuden.
Kuden's in.
Oh, God.
Maybe not where he wants to be. He's going to pillar in. Dragon's actually not quite done. Raze and Bandic's going to go into Sybil, goes all the way over the top. Whiffle doesn't have his ulti, does get taken out by Raze, and Direwolves going to turn things around and claim the Dragon.
That was the biggest Zac jump that I have ever seen. He was in the back of the Dragon, not even in the pit. And he made it all the way to the entrance of the blue buff. Welcome to the Zac changes, ladies and gentlemen. He's going again.
Woo! Understep misses, gets stunned. But they are going to dive in for it. Kuden going to come in to protect him. Knock up Midbeast there. And that's going to force the ulti out as they'll take the turret as well. Direwolves spring to life here at 20 minutes, just like we thought.
The Twisted Fate having 2 items. A nice charm onto Raze, but again, big spike for Fantix on this Twisted Fate. He's starting to put down a lot of damage. And he's gone in a defensive-offensive style of build. So difficult for Midbeast to assassinate him. Difficult for Jack Attack as well. The only real threat to him is going to be Stealthix or multiple people hitting him.
Good timing there as well from the Direwolves. Know that Jack didn't have his ulti even if he joined in. So not too much to worry about there. Whiffle actually caught again, but he pops his ulti this time. Sybil over the top is the threat to watch here. He's going to move over with a slingshot. Wants it onto Midbeast. Goes straight in there, and the wild growth is good. Takes out Whiffle. Midbeast is dead, and Sybil's bouncing all over the shop. Jack Attack is going to get himself stunned. Gets polymorphed as well and can't use it. A double kill for Sybil and a great dive.
Direwolves again. Every single time Zac has used that elastic slingshot, they've found something from it. They're threatening with it one more time, but the Twin Ghost's going to scare them off. And another turret for Direwolves. A fantastic skirmish in the middle lane, working around their strengths and rotating superbly.
And this game's just exploded at this point. A dragon apiece, but 9 kills to 5 and 5 turrets to 0. Maybe make it 6 as they push down the bottom. And they're 10,000 gold ahead.
They're so far ahead, and honestly, it came down to laning phase. Infernum were really struggling from just last hitting. The lane pressure, everything. Fantix, this is all coming down to Kuden placing pillars as Trundle. This engage from Sybil one more time, very weird angle. Actually finds the targets, gets Lulu ulted and Raze.
Raze in trouble again. Stealthix looking low.
One.
He does get the kill. Can he get out? Sharp's going to join in. That's going to be another as Seb goes down. Raze, this time rewarded for his aggression.
Of course, Sharp there to save his partner in crime. Is very good on this Ezreal is Raze, I can say that much. A lot easier to stay alive on an Ezreal than it is Corki. And it's starting to show.
I don't think I ever want to see him play like Ashe. That's the only thing.
Oh, God,
Whiffle actually finds Sharp. Charm will land. No, not quite as the Wild Growth popped in again. Whiffle doesn't have his ulti. He's dead as Sharp takes him out. And Jack's coming through now. Does have the ulti and the flash ready, but pretty tricky targets to catch. Kuden going to rotate in as well. Sybil also is lining up for a dive. This could be the 6th turret now taken out with the Direwolves. All of a sudden, pace is on here. We thought the first game was long. This one's looking to end very quickly.
Yeah, the heat's definitely rising for this Infernum side. They haven't found an opportunity to use Jack Attack's ultimate on this Malphite. And honestly, the more that the snowball continues, the less impact that Malphite ultimate will have, as it just feels like Sybil is able to do what Jack Attack does, but on a 10-second cooldown.
Yeah, and Sybil's Zac play has been superb in these last few fights. Certainly something we expect from the seasoned Zac player, but you can see why it's a pick that really, even though a few people are playing, he's definitely the one to look for, as Twisted Fate's going in
They're
somewhere.
in on Elise.
Fantix is in topside. Seb is absolutely dead. Goodbye, friend, as Fantix collects the kill. Sybil just bounces around for a bit of fun, and now they'll start pushing top lane.
It's such a great ultimate. He's also got the best joke in the game, to be fair. Turns into a giant blob. Sybil one more time with Fantix. It's good to see the Twisted Fate ultimate being used aggressively. Now they're going to get themselves a Baron, most likely.
And this, again, aggressive play from Direwolves, much more proactive than they were in game number 1. You can tell how they play when they think they're behind versus when they know they're ahead. Yeah. They are looking to close out this game in lightning fast-paced. Baron will go there as Sybil smites it away. And Infernum are in a whole lot of trouble.
They definitely are. Honestly, Mid-Beast, there's nothing he can do at this stage. The Twisted Fate is so far ahead of him. The split-pushing options are there for Direwolves. They've got the team fight option themselves. And honestly, if you're Infernum, your only bet that you can go for at the moment is hit the miracle Jack Attack Malphite ultimate, follow it with Mid-Beast and Stealthix, and take someone down.
Well, the items are starting to stack up here, so unfortunately for Jack, he might not even be that tanky at this point in the game.
No.
Just a Spirit Visage, really, and a couple of tanky components. He will die swiftly to the Direwolves damage deals. As you can see, they're starting to keep pushing in. The Baron's still there. They've got a little bit left, probably about half or so. Actually, quite a bit more, almost 3/4 left for the Direwolves. Kuden's going to slap down a ward.
Nope.
I'm going to see a bit of a split push. Fantix can drain whenever he wants, except he doesn't have his ultimate. But he's more than a threat on his own here, especially against Jack.
Yeah, honestly, Jack Attack can't deal with him. He's going to need a help of probably Mid-Beast in this case, and they're going on
Ulti's
him.
out, Fantix, nice to flash, but does Sonya's. Very nice little trick there as Mid-Beast does move it back in. Needs the gold cut, couldn't find it on the first rotation, but Mid-Beast going to be the target as the exhaust comes down. Now Jack just going to get kited around. Fantix will not die. The Wild Growth pop. Jack gets baited in. The Polymorph once again. Fantix collects the kill. 5v4 now for the Direwolves.
And they even give the kill to Fantix. That's a little bit insulting now. Sybil's in. That's really
Straight
good.
in, but he gets cancelled by Whipple. Pops the arms, but doesn't quite collect anyone. But the base is now broken, possibly in 2 places. Direwolves get the bottom in Nexus turret, inhib turret. They'll claim the inhibitor itself, and also working on mid. Look at that, synchronized destruction, and this could be game.
They should be able to end the game from here. A desperate engage is needed from Whipples. He doesn't even have the flash until about now, and it's looking quite dire.
Certainly is, but not for the Direwolves, as they're looking to close this one out.
Didn't you?
Seven, he's going to flash out a Sybil, but he's just zoning him away at this point. That's going to look to end the game. The Baron buff is still here. And Infernum, no answer. Nexus turret falls. That's one last stand. Can they make it happen? Ray's going to go in. He might get punted into the fountain, but Sybil goes back in, takes out Elise, bounces
Ray's
around it.
alive.
Wild Growth is there as well to keep the AD carry up. And Fantix might just look to finish the game, but they'll pad the stats for a while. It's a massacre around the Nexus, but the Direwolves sweep Infernum 2-0.
And it wouldn't be a Direwolves victory without Ray's trying his absolute best to die at the end of it. A very clean-cut victory for these guys, and polar opposites from game 1.
Absolutely. Less than half the time, I think, to finish game 2 versus game 1. And just great play there.
Yeah, first game of the Direwolves. What a great showing from these guys. Good work to them.
That's the play we expect. We'll get a little bit more as we throw ourselves back to the analyst desk.
So the Direwolves are able to take this one in much quicker game time. You know, probably halved at their 56 the first time around. That one was mid-20s. And let's start with Infernum, because, you know, we heard from Mid-Beast, and you said it as well, Atlas, they came into the Summoner's Rift with a game plan, and that's what you like about Infernum, and that was to camp out that mid lane.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure that they got on top of this Twisted Fate, right? So they left it up in the draft, they allowed Fantix to get this pick, and then Mid-Beast, of course, goes back to a comfort pick. He loves his Ahri, always has, and would always want to jump back on that champion if he can. And what their plan was, of course, was to let's just sit in his lane, grab Seb, pick him up, chuck him there every single time, and camp him out. And we've got some replays available. We can have a look at it because it was relentless. He died 3 times.
It certainly was. So as we grab these up, Minky, take us through it. There's an Elise, there's an Alistair, and there is an Ahri. Let's have a look at just how much they run over Fantix here.
Yep. All right. All right, so Seb's coming in. They go for the level 6 power spike of Ari. They get the kill, and
Another one here. They
one
just
here,
another dive, and you can see that the game plan to pick on Fantix, there's even a third one as you throw Whiffle underneath the turret. And so Alistair, he's there as a big tanky guy at level 7. He didn't even have to burn the ultimate, so they couldn't re-engage on it. All of a sudden, you see the Elise and the Ari, and you think, wow, all of a sudden, this is pick League of Legends. Like, they've got such a good game plan. Green wards are eliminated for the game, but what they didn't take into consideration was how long the engage is from the Zac, from the Twisted Fate, and just how much map pressure they had on the side of Direwolves, which won them the game.
yeah. So dealing with Zac, his leap is just so far. Like, you need to have you need to have really good vision and just a bit of awareness of playing against that champion. It's very different from all the rest. I feel like Infernum, they kind of tunneled too much on the mid lane, and it just left Zac to roam and farm up and get to that power spike. Zac is traditionally very weak early, so they should have bullied him a bit more, got a bit more pressure in the jungle, but they just kind of let him do his thing.
Yeah, and I know that what you want to hit on, Atlas, is even though the mid lane was bullied, no gold deficit for Fantix because he farmed so well, and that opened up the bottom lane for Direwolves to start to capitalize.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, Raze was playing overly aggressive last game. We definitely gave him that credit, but this game, he was dominant. They had a 2v3 fight at the very start of this game. First Blood went over to the Trundle, but that was at the deficit. And I mean, Raze ended up falling over, grabbed himself the extra assist, and then proceeded to, as Seb was just in the mid lane the whole time, the 2v2 just went all the way in his favor. Top lane was the same. Sharp got so far ahead of Jack Attack, kept the bully on, took the turret.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to show. We're going to pull up another replay for you guys. Atlas, I want you to take us through this one because this just shows how far every single member of the Direwolves, even Fantix at this stage of the game, is ahead of their counterpart and what they can do to bully the other team.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can have a look already as this is paused because look at those numbers in the CS. 20 CS ahead in the bottom lane and it's ahead in the top, but it's because Sharp's been roaming around the map. You can see mid already. So as we play this one out, it's all about Direwolves just getting the team fight that they want. Whiffle gets caught out here, pops the ultimate immediately, but look at how freaking fast Sybil goes. Right in amongst it. The wild growth is right there. Sharp on top of his Lulu play this game, just facilitating the rest of his team. Jack Attack, nothing he could do. And Sybil's just a monster.
Yeah, he certainly is. Time and time again, they were just able to take up these structures, come up with good team fights, and that does mean the Direwolves will get the 2-0 on tonight. So as we take a look at the schedule and the coming matches to come, of course, we have another game tomorrow night, Legacy versus Skin, and then the double header as well as the OPL Legend matches. Trident will take on the Chiefs, and Halion will take on Avant-Garde. So tomorrow, Legacy versus... I just see... Who's going to win the game, Minky Whale? Tell me right now.
Well, I don't want to be too biased, but I really think Legacy have it in the bag.
Whoa, really? I was expecting you to say Sin. Legacy coach? That is very interesting.
Atlas, coming to you. You on this Legacy hype train, or do you think Sin have this one?
Well, actually, I really like how tidy the roster swaps were for Legacy, of course, so I'm going to hand it to Minky Whale. I think that they're probably favorites to win this one, but I've heard about how hungry Sin are, and I'm really excited to see how they play on Summoner's Rift here in the OPL.
Yeah, Sin were also my dark horse. I think that they do have a chance, but that's all from us tonight, guys. So thank you so much. Tune in the same time tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you then.